My help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is always looking to make your game day bigger and better. Cheer on your favorite team this season in front of a 22-foot LED video wall showing up to 8 games at once. TVs are everywhere else you can look with a state-of-the-art audio and video system. Enjoy a big old pizza or award-winning char-buffed wings. There's just no better way to do your game day. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Sunday morning is all about church, eggs, and the Sunday paper. But right next to church, it's made for hot takes and reactions. Severe reactions. Michael Severe. Sundays 8 to 10. Right and what went wrong on Saturday. He'll also take a call from the most important voice of all, yours. Severe Reaction Sunday mornings 8 to 10, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Nebraska Medicine. Home is where the health is on 1620 The Zone.
Attention sales professionals. NRG Media is looking for an accomplished business-to-business salesperson who wants to take their success and skills to a new level. Is this you? Our account executives work with local businesses to create marketing plans to help them get more customers. On air, digital, on-site, audio, video, it's all part of what you could sell. A sales career with NRG lets you make a real difference. Get more info and apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
PACE, Police Athletics for Community Engagement Organization, is dedicated to preventing at-risk and disadvantaged inner-city children from becoming involved in street gangs, crime, drug use, and victimization.
Flag football for ages 8 to 14 runs through October 20th, and PACE needs sponsors to help pay for refs, jerseys, and other equipment. Go to paceomaha.org to help. And thank you for your support from PACE.
Please go to paceomaha.org to support the PACE mission. Thank you.
Tell us how you feel on the J-Tech Construction and Solar Zone Twitter feed. Reach Gary, Nick, Connor, Josh, and John anytime on the J-Tech Construction and Solar Zone Twitter feed. Contact the official exterior and solar experts of the Huskers. J-Tech Construction at yourexteriorexperts.com.
1620 The Zone. Awaiting the snap, Gino takes it. Steps up in the pocket, scrambles away to his right side, looking to the end zone, fires a dart in the back of the end zone. DK, does he have his feet? And he does! Touchdown! Seahawks! DK Metcalf with the rope-a-dope in the back of the end zone. Ken Walker, the third, the single setback. Bobo is slotted inside of Metcalf to the left. Will Dissly, the tight end, on the right. Motion is Bobo. Hand off to Walker inside. He is in. Touchdown, Seahawks! Seattle looks like they want to rush 4. And they do. Jones is going to throw. Throws near side. Ball picked up Witherspoon comes near side, down the sidelines. Jones chasing him. He cuts back inside, picks up blockers, still being chased. Witherspoon far side, 20, 15, 10, 5. He is in. Holy catfish! Witherspoon went a mile and a half with the interception for a touchdown.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
All right, showtime on a Tuesday morning, already the 3rd of October. Last night, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but I did not stay in a Holiday Inn. I played a lot of Madden. I've watched a lot of crappy football. I can tell if a team is bad. That was a bad football team that was playing at home and in prime time got rolled again last night.
Peyton and Eli were good at least.
They were, and it's always
There's that.
like Peyton and Eli. Like I'm going to get to this a little bit later. Like Matt Rule, I think is showing that after a loss, he's pretty good. Very retrospective, like he was yesterday. But good games are not good for the Manning cast. Bad quarterback play is good for the Manning cast, just simply by the facial reactions. Like last night when the 97-yard pick six was thrown to the Illinois dude who shut down Trey Palmer. The reaction on both of their faces, man, Daniel Jones is going to hate watching the film. He's going to hate watching any screenshot of the Mannings on the Manning cast last night with his performance. But most of the time he was on his back, so it didn't matter.
And you could add this one to the list as well. When the Giants are playing and you get bad quarterback play, then you get Eli, who's, again, this is what I love about the Manning cast is this is more the personality that our buddy Dave Tollefson has told me about for so long, and you actually get to see it kind of come out. But he's still a fan. He's still a supporter of the Giants. And to see that, he's like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Like, I mean, he goes into –
You threw me out for him. All right.
Well, they go into the breakdowns of the quarterback, then they get into kind of sarcastic criticism towards the quarterbacks. But then you get Eli in kind of the eye roll moment of Daniel Jones's play, and it's like he's kind of playing both roles there too, which it took me a while to get on board with it, but it's definitely at least a half of the game that I watch of the Manning cast. You have to, and knowing Will Ferrell was going to be on, I had to watch last night.
Yeah, we got to look at some Meatloaf. They've done a good job. They've done a good job of cutting down like the amount of guests.
Yes,
like Sean O'Hara, who was the center for Eli, was really, really good when the Giants were really, really bad last night. It's tough to watch if you just have it on as background because you don't get the crowd noise and you don't get the play-by-play, so you don't know if like a big play has happened or like a touchdown is about to happen or even a touchdown. Unless they go into a full description. But that's a bad football team. That is I think the goodwill of 22 with the portly gentleman who was the football coach that we really like because he was a football guy. That's a team that doesn't have Barkley. They don't have Andrew Thomas. They have a quarterback who is running for his life and is atrocious now in prime time. He's 1-12.
And they're on a lot.
They're a bad football team. And I feel bad because I have a friend named Richie in Papillion, which I think everybody knows Richie. He's become a media celebrity, and he's a diehard Giants fan. He grew up in New York City, moved to Nebraska, diehard Giants fan. And every time the Giants play in prime time on free TV, he will text and say, hey, do you want to come over and watch the game?
Okay.
So, sometimes I'll go over and we'll go in the basement there in Papillion and watch the game on his screen. And last night or yesterday afternoon, I just, and he, we always send each other texts about good luck with your team. He didn't invite me over. So I should have known that maybe something was up last night. When I did not get the Richie text, hey, you want to come over? I got some cold cuts and some bread. And we'll watch the game. Didn't happen last night. So I haven't checked on him. I'm going to let it simmer because I know he'll listen to us. He'll listen to the fan. And then he's got all these different YouTube things of the Giants he watches. And then he will just explode because this is his life.
Yeah.
Like the Giants are his life, and that's a bad football team at 1-3.
Richie, hold my beer.
The Giants and Bears play this year. That'd be a good watch party.
Giants and the Jets play here in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Believe the Bears and the Giants play this year. I don't think they do. That would be
have them join in with the commie game.
Call that the Caleb Williams Bowl. But no, they do not play.
Hey, so welcome in, everybody. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley. The Seattle Seahawks, though, last night. So it was kind of cool. Noah Fant, the pride of Omaha South, which didn't. I knew this, but didn't fully know it until we did a South game recently. And they've had a hell of a history of players that played for Omaha South. But Noah Fant was part of the Manning cast last night. So his touchdown, where the Giants completely flubbed tackling him, they were in disbelief that Noah Fant was still upright as he was rumbling, stumbling all the way down the field.
Sideline too. It's like how does a guy that big stay balanced and be able to toe the sideline without even being knocked out? Like the fact that it was that close.
But credit to Seattle. I mean, they sacked Jones 11 times. The Giant. This is the kind of night for Daniel Jones. He had 7 incomplete passes and was sacked 11 times.
Mm-hmm.
And the Seahawks could make a case that they could be 9-1 going into a game against San Francisco if it sets up well, because that defense is really, really good. Now, offensively, they're kind of hit or miss. But, man, that defense, not just playing the New York Giants, I think that defense is pretty good.
And when you have that, and look, I think it's been a good role for Geno. And last year I was kind of curious to see how he would, all right, now that he's fully the guy, he hasn't been awful. And I wouldn't say like this is a guy that is amongst the elite quarterbacks, but he fits the role. That's probably the best way to put it. He fits the role of the team that is kind of building back, not Legion of Boom type defense. That's a generational type of defense, but they're playing defense. They know what works. Pete Carroll knows what works. And you also got a couple good guys, skilled position-wise. You got a good running back. You got a good running back or a good wide receiver. The Metcalf, I think as it was described there in the highlights, was like perfect way to describe that as a rope-a-dope, where you're just kind of like out of the play. Hey, back shoulder right there. Like, so it's not like this is an offense that's completely inept of players and you got to rely on the defense. Like they've got enough dudes that if the defense is clamping down like the way they were last night, that you're going to get more than enough offense, I think, with the guys that they have. So yeah, it's an interesting team because there was a time in the NFC West when we were looking at Seattle being the odd man out of 3 teams. It looked like Arizona was on the come at one point. LA and San Francisco were obviously the teams that well, I guess San Francisco now continue to be that team, but LA was in the midst of paying everybody every cent that they had to get over and win a Super Bowl. But that division itself was really good where Seattle is trying to play catch up. And as we see, this is cyclical in the NFL. Now it's the 49ers division. You're seeing LA drop off, the Cardinals dropping off big time, especially without Kyler. Seattle's squarely in that conversation right there, where they are, if you're looking at another team, because I still don't think that this is a team that's going to unseat San Francisco, but Seattle's, I don't think it's even debatable right now, is the second best team in that division and very well could be a playoff team.
All right, Giants fans, this is a safe place today. Your football team is completely unwatchable. You look like a 4-win team, and I thought last year was a step forward. And now Brian Dable will be mentioned in the same vein as Bob McAdoo after a performance like that. I mean, they've been bad.
Yeah.
Like their 2 home games, they've been really, really bad. Yeah. They've been embarrassed in 3 of their 4 games. Like there was another stat that was, ESPN was having a field day post game last night. They've been outscored 77-9 in the first half. And then to top it all off, because we know this, everybody wants a franchise quarterback in the NFL. And once you get them, whether they be a Mahomes or a Justin Fields, you want to hold on to them when you have to make that second contract, or when you pay them. Well, I think here's the thing: everybody is so desperate to get a franchise quarterback. Yeah. I mean, it's the most it's the position that changes our mood. Look around here. If Nebraska had good quarterback play, our mood would be entirely different. If Nebraska had a pulse on offense that gave you hope, you would feel completely different. So quarterback completely changes your mood. Mm-hmm. And it also changes when you go into a game if you think you're going to win. And the Giants, who have been searching from Phil Simms to Hostetler to Phil to Eli Manning, when you feel like you got a quarterback and they pay Daniel Jones, I mean, he's getting in cash $46 million this year. They don't have an offensive line that can block for him, and he's not good enough that he can change a game on his own. And I don't know, man.
He might not make it through the season at this pace.
That was a desperate move to pay a guy because you think you finally got a quarterback that you drafted.
Yeah,
man, it can turn your franchise upside down when they don't come through and they don't are really good when you're getting paid that kind of money. Because he's getting the third most cash, I think, of quarterbacks in the NFL this year.
Yeah, because he was probably
behind. Who is he behind?
Would be right now Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. God, I feel like
Those
we're missing
two are
one.
pretty good.
Is Justin Herbert getting more though?
He might be now, actually. Come to think of it, because he did.
But he's in the top 5, and so
he's not living on food stamps. Put it that way.
And that was the Daniel Jones almost kind of reminds me of when you ended up having to, a long time ago, pay this was when he was with the Dolphins, Ryan Tannehill money, because you're starting to look around. You're kind of looking at, all right, what does the next draft class look like? Where do we look to be in the draft mix? And obviously you can always try to move up in the draft if you feel like there's someone that can't miss. And then you look at the free agency pool and maybe even your trade prospects, and you kind of sift through all that and you come back to the conclusion of maybe he's not elite, but he's the best option out there. And this is why you continue to see that market, the quarterback market, go up. It's not because, who is the most recent highest paid quarterback now? Is that guy without question the best in the NFL? No, but you got to pay him. And you look around and you start to look at the other options that are out there that you can get on the discount, but it's not what's going to work for your offense, or it's not going to be the guy that you're going to be able to say, all right, this is our guy for the next 4 or 5 years. No, because then you're going to be put in that same position 1 year later or 2 years later, where you're getting these guns for hire that, this is why they have to get paid. And so I don't even know if Daniel Jones at the time, people were like, we have no doubt that the Giants organization was saying, we have no doubt that this guy is without question our future, our franchise guy, our guy for 10 years. But you're looking at all the options around you and saying, he knows the system. We feel we just need to give him a little bit more help, and he's going to shine, and he's going to be reliable, and he's going to be worth the money that we're going to have to pay a franchise quarterback. And so, I mean, they're the quarterbacks who are like, yeah, you got to pay that guy. Just pay that man his money. And then there are the other guys who are like, I guess we have to. We have no better option right now.
He got the treatment. Did I see, was it Witherspoon that gave him the dreaded, I'm a rookie, you're an older guy quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
What was what did he say? Staring him down? We knew that he would stare down wide receivers.
Oh, yeah.
The pick six is absolutely brutal. But that looks like a 4-win team. And I thought they would at least be 7, 8, maybe 9, make the playoffs in maybe the toughest division in all of football.
Or might be optimistic.
I thought they'd be better than Washington. I did. I felt like the hierarchy in the East would be.
They got the same problems. They got Eagles, a quarterback that's running for his life as well.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, those two teams play. The Bears and the Washington Commanders play Thursday.
Yeah.
Good thing it's on Amazon.
Can't wait.
You got high school football, don't you?
Can't wait.
Be happy for that one.
Hey, the following week, Taylor Swift will be back. Denver and Kansas City are on Amazon. So Amazon is trying to convince her to come to Kansas City. She won't be in Minneapolis this weekend, apparently. But because next Thursday is Amazon, they are trying to get her to be at the Chiefs-Broncos game.
I know Eli was a little disappointed. Well, I think it was Eli who asked if Taylor Swift was at the game, and then Peyton said if she was, she would have left by now.
True. Hey, let's give some love to Noah Fant, Star Wars fiend, who has been very active on 1620 The Zone TV. Hello, good morning, everybody. I said I've run into Noah Fant twice at Hero 88 on West Maple. Super nice, approachable, and sadly, no one knows who he is. He apparently comes back here in the offseason to see his family. Yes, he does. Noah also came into the studio and broke a lot of people's hearts by committing to Iowa on air. Who could forget those days back in the day? But Noah's a great dude, and I'm glad it's starting to work out in Seattle, because I think it took him a little bit by surprise to get traded.
Yeah.
Like that shock of when he got traded from Denver there. I don't know. I think he's recognizable. I mean, I think
that was
people that have been following high school sports, and you saw Iowa. I think Noah's recognizable. No, by the way, he's 6'7".
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah,
at the very least, if you don't know exactly who it is, you're like, that dude's somebody.
Yeah, he's still. I mean, all of his
Like,
family.
that guy's somebody.
All of his family is still in football, and they're still around here. So yeah, he comes back here in the off season. All right, let me give you the lineup on the roofery's at John Higgins Weather Guard. Higgy is 34 days away from retirement. I think it's going to be tough. First night, 34 days from now when they tip it off.
Yeah.
I say
Maybe
he's
get a
going to
run in?
miss it. I was going to say he's going to miss it. He'll be like, heck no.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting courtside evaluating. I'm not going to miss it at all. Sam
It's the
McEwen.
judge.
Sam McEwen will stop by at 7:30. Brian Barnhart at 8:30 is the voice of the Fighting Illini. It is Burt Week. Some have Shark Week. Some have Fat Bear Week. We have Burt Week.
I like Burt Week. All right.
Brian Christopherson coming up at 9, and then Andy Kendi coming up at 9:45. That is the lineup brought to you by the Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. You're always welcome to join in the conversation. The Zone Hotline, powered by 42 Degrees. The Source by your mom's house. You guys surprised? So I listened. I listened to a lot of local radio yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I bounced around because after I left the studio, I was like, there seems to be a lot of angst about the Michigan game, even though we all knew what was coming and we told you what was coming. You guys surprised that there is this much angst post losing to the number 2 team in the country 45-7?
I'm not surprised the way the game played out. Now, when I got into Big Red overreaction, the whole thought was.
No, I'm not talking like after the game. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm talking like yesterday.
Yeah.
Like we're a couple of days post the game.
Yeah, I think
people are extra pissy.
I'm not. I guess I'm still not surprised, because as much as people want to say like expected it or score didn't surprise me because this is where Nebraska is, this is where Michigan is. I just think that there was just that lingering effect of how bad it got early, how physical it got early, and that there was just really no shot at all in this game. And that's where I think it had a carryover effect.
You think
because I think there's I don't think buzz about Friday, but I think there's now there's nerves.
Well,
about
okay.
Friday.
So do you think it's also this, that the truth hurts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
here's where I'm going with this. And again, I thought Rule was really good yesterday. Rule's going to be one of those coaches that hopefully doesn't have to do this very much moving forward in the future. But I think he's really good after losses. I think everybody can be good after a win. I think he's good after losses. And what he said yesterday, he sent a message to us, them, everybody else about what he was thinking. Now, if he ain't sending that to guys in person that he's in charge of, that's a bad move on your part, Matt Rule, but I don't believe that. I believe what he said yesterday, because he came ready. He came hunting for bear yesterday in that press conference because he wanted to get things off his chest. So, yes, the truth hurts. When you play a team like Michigan, the truth hurts about where you are. But we all are smart enough to know that the measuring stick for this program in 2023, because I think there's going to be some twerking and some tweaking for 24, but a measuring stick for the 23 team is what is left over the next 7 games. But I was generally surprised that there was angst after the Michigan game. Like, I don't know if I said it to you guys while we were on air or during the break or whatever. I don't think I said it on air during the break about, wow, I'm a little interested in the tone of texters and emailers and callers about the Michigan loss and where Nebraska is. Because you know what? If you really wanted to have angst about Nebraska football this year through 5 games, you should have had more angst after Minnesota than Michigan. Because Minnesota looks way too familiar of what we've gone through in the past than trying to judge where Nebraska is playing a team like Michigan. Yeah, the effort, the want to, the attention to detail all went out the window. But I don't know. I think if you're going to have angst, you should have been more upset about Minnesota than Michigan. Just my opinion.
I would push back on the fact that I think, and I you're not wrong about Minnesota, but what I would also say is all too familiar with Minnesota, but also all too familiar with Nebraska playing ranked teams or top 10 teams where and this is shame on us. I'm not trying to say this is reality. Shame on us for watching a game against Northern Illinois, a game against La Tech, and thinking, what does success look like against Michigan? it looks like Michigan, with what they did in the first quarter, happening more in the third quarter. So
yeah,
we're not asking you to win.
Not 8 minutes into the game when that game was
exactly. Done. We're not asking you to win, but what we want to see is what those things like from Minnesota to Colorado in the moments in those games where Nebraska either had a lead or looked good in the process before whatever happened, turnovers mainly, came undone. Then you do a better job of taking care of the football against a lesser competition, mind you. But that can be window dressing. That can fool us. I know sometimes I even find myself falling victim to that of like not saying, oh, all of a sudden they're a better team. Light came on. But I always believe as the season goes, as you're learning under a new coaching staff, you find ways to improve as long as you're moving forward. And I think everyone would look at that game on Saturday and say there was no part of that was a step forward. There nothing at all. I mean, competing against a team that is elite physically like Michigan, to be able to kind of slug it out with them for even one half of football, I think we would have said, well, that looked okay. That didn't happen. So I think any kind of hope that people had from the 2 wins and that overall physical identity, I think it was kind of defeated, and you almost kind of have that we're back to square one.
No, I don't agree with that, because I think you have to put Michigan aside. Nebraska is not anywhere close to Michigan's stratosphere. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
The reality. That's the reality. If you can't sit here and say, okay, Nebraska, hey, we're going to judge off Michigan. If you sat there before the season and said that's a 6-6 football team, because you also said in the same breath they're 12-0. That's a Michigan team. So, the next 7 games of the measuring stick, I just think that I thought there would be more angst Minnesota than I'm sensing from Michigan, and I don't think that's right, because the Minnesota game is the more familiar of, here they go again, a chance to win a game, and it's the same errors that have plagued this program for years and years and years. Nebraska is a ways away from going toe-to-toe with a team that rolls in number 2 in the country.
Yeah.
But in terms of winning a game that is right in your grasp against a team that lives in your neighborhood, which the remainder of the season are going to play a lot of teams that live in their neighborhood, that's where I would have been more upset. And I remember the Friday show. I don't recall that there was as much angst as I sensed yesterday.
No, and you're right, because it was weird on that Friday and even after the game that I think people were kind of conflicted, because I think if you
That's a good word. That's a good word.
Because if you polled, say, 10 Nebraska fans going into that Minnesota game, am I shooting low saying maybe only 3 would have picked Nebraska to win? And because I think we thought Minnesota might be a little bit better than what they've shown.
Well, that loss is going to sting for a while.
Yeah, it is. And yet, if you had that one chalked up to a loss, okay, how did you have them losing? What was the score difference? And so it was that, oh my God, we're going to win this game. I even said it that Friday. I thought, again, shame on me. 5 minutes left to go in that game. I'm thinking they're going to pull this off.
Yeah, Victory Friday.
I mean, this is happening. And then, again, the all too familiar gaffe, whether it's a sloppy penalties that set you back or a turnover in this case. And that all too familiar feeling is, it's almost like this cruel self-fulfillment of, oh yeah, that's what's supposed to happen. When it's like, no, that's not actually, because now you have a new head coach.
Well,
you're trying to correct those things. And it wasn't Matt Rule who fumbled the ball, I mind you. But you kind of like, after the game's over, you're like, well, you know what? I still had them 0-1 at this point, and they should have won.
Yeah.
So how am I supposed to feel about this one?
Yeah, Nebraska has to find a way to get away from, and this is when you build your program, is that the first game of the year lingers. So 21, the game in Champaign, that lingered. Last year, it lingered. This year, that game lingers. And I wouldn't have thought that until yesterday. And Rule referenced that game. And he kind of referenced on the form of the psyche of the team of winning a game like that.
Yep. And that's, I think he mentioned it a few times yesterday. And it was, I thought that was kind of interesting too, is that was the game that you're sort of drawing from. But I also get it because, and you just said it a moment ago, the types of teams that Nebraska plays here in this next stretch are very similar, kind of cut from the similar cloth as Minnesota. And so, you can always say you don't judge a team by their best win, but you also don't judge a team by their, worst loss too. You kind of you throw all those out and then you kind of go in the in between that. And that's what Nebraska has a lot. I mean, they played without question their best team. They're not even close. They played the best team that they're going to see on the schedule last weekend. And you look at, okay, how did you, because I think it's a smart strategy by Matt Rule. How are you going to sort of look at your next upcoming challenge? You're going to look at a game that you can completely chalk up to, that was the first one out of the gate. This is what it's supposed to look like. And he said that yesterday, lunchtimes. That's what it was supposed to look like, is being able to control the clock, limit possessions, making the most out of them, and then leaning on your defense, letting your defense know that we're a defensive football team, and then having them sort of take over there. That is exactly the same type of, I without even getting into it, and we'll talk to Brian Barnhart later, getting into just the, well, it was interesting to see that brought up multiple times yesterday on, this is how it's supposed to look. This is kind of, I don't even want to say the standard, but that's the game to draw from as far as what we can expect here going forward. We got to get back to that. It's kind of the message that I got from him when he was venting yesterday.
All right. You venting?
I thought he was venting yesterday.
I thought he was just getting stuff off his chest.
Isn't that venting?
I don't know. I don't think he was angry.
Okay, yeah, maybe not. Okay, yeah, getting stuff off his chest. He was
clearing the air.
He was verbalizing his thoughts. Yeah, there you go. Maybe not venting. Venting, yeah, you're probably right. It has a little bit more of a, I'm angry, I'm pissed off. It's the airing of grievances. I got some problems with everybody, and you're all going to hear about it.
He was. Who do you think his intended audience was?
I still think.
Okay,
so
was it
Phil
the
Jackson
fans? Was it the players? Was it himself? Was it his coaches? Players?
My answer would be yes.
Can you say all of the above?
My answer would be yes.
I mean, that's maybe he was. I don't know who's
very
his intended audience. Before he ever got on the elevator, come to the 6th floor yesterday, he knew he was going to go there, and he took a question that actually kind of led him down the path, and then he went with it, and we all went, "Whoa, okay, all right, good litmus check." 5 games into the season,
and if you remember after the game, he wasn't. I know hesitant was the word on the team's approach. He was hesitant himself to go there as far as what was the team effort like. What did they? Did you feel like you matched the intensity? He didn't want to necessarily go there. The only thing he said was maybe a little bit hesitant. Yesterday, he had no problem being pissed off with the way the team played.
Yeah, imagine that was a Saturday night film session. Where he went,
Yeah. Now I understand why people are asking that question.
Yeah. By the way, I'm going to give Michigan a ton of credit because they were Michigan and they easy breezy rolled in here and rolled us. But after a film session, that's probably also why on Sunday they went full Pats. All right, Sam McEwen's coming up in less than an hour. You can always join in the conversation in the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. Did I just see old man Doug has already fired off a...
Yeah, he did.
We'll get thoughts, too.
He's fired up, too.
I don't know that I'd go that far, Jimmy. I think you give Doug too much credit. Gary at 1620thezone.com.
Handley at 1620thezone.com.
I did get a T-shirt from him the other day.
Doug is fired up. We'll read his email when we come back. You can join us on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed at Gary Sharp 1620.
At Nick Handley 1620.
We will talk to the voice of the Fighting Illini, Brian Barnhart. Also, Major League Baseball playoffs begin today. The wild card playoffs. There are 4 going. Will this be the year? Will this actually be the day that the Minnesota Twins win a postseason game?
I'm pulling for them. I am.
Hey, it wasn't my fault when I was working for him for a decade.
Fellow Central Division mate.
We lost. We lost playoff games when I was working for the Twins as well, so it wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
It's Johan Santana's fault.
Oh.
Why'd you have to go to the Mets?
Yeah. He was a killer, man.
Hey, he was the last pitcher to win a playoff game for the Twins. He was awesome, man.
He was.
I loved him. And then Francisco Liriano came along and then kind of hurt his arm. But Johan and Francisco Liriano were 2 of my favorites. Johan is such a cool dude. Such a cool dude.
2 guys
went to his house and went swimming once.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
You have a nice setup?
Swim coach who I was dating at the time gave swim lessons to the Santana kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. 2 guys in Cleveland baseball fandom that happen to have played for the Minnesota Twins that I will always remember as at the time Cleveland Indian killers, and that was Johan and just the most random Eddie Rosario, who became a Cleveland Indian at one point too. But Eddie Rosario had his best games against Cleveland.
Twins,
Two guys.
Twins have lost 18 straight playoff games, and they're up at Target Field today against the Blue Jays. And I got to imagine there will be a lot of Blue Jay fans there.
Mm-hmm.
They travel well. Quick little trip.
That afternoon game, though.
Yeah. Oh, we got afternoon baseball. So ABC
2 o'clock.
ABC is carrying baseball today. That's awesome.
Al Michaels and Jim Palmer.
Keith Jackson's coming back.
Yeah.
That would be great.
We'll give our thoughts on the 4 series
Rangers
and much more. But the Twins Blue Jay series is the most intriguing and will be the most entertaining.
91 ALCS rematch.
If you say most entertaining, I think you're already predicting at least one Minnesota Twins victory.
Oh, I think the Twins are going to win the series.
Same.
If Royce Lewis is healthy. Okay, you want to play Immaculate Grid real quick with the Twins and Blue Jays?
Okay.
Give me a guy.
Come on. The first
guy.
one is Jack Morris.
Oh, okay. We're talking about. Okay, never mind.
Played for both. I got another one. That's a good call. I mean, now I got another Hall of Famer.
Oh, also played with Cleveland too. Jesus,
Did Chili Davis play for both?
Jesus.
Yeah, Chili Davis was a Twin. That was kind of awkward.
Was he with Toronto?
Chili Davis always to me will be a San Francisco Giant playing at Candlestick Park.
Was Chili Davis with Toronto?
I thought he was on one of the championship teams.
I will go with Paul Molitor.
There we go.
Who had a nice career in both places.
Speaking of championship teams.
I have one in my head right now, and I'm just completely blanking on the name.
Lou Collins.
There's one. Blue Jays. So I'll give you one. There is one that will pitch in this series for the Blue Jays. That was at one time the ace of the Twins.
At one time was the ace of the Twins.
Not very long ago, and then was traded to Toronto. Hold it. I'll let you Google.
I got it. I got to do some.
All right, we'll go through Doug's email when we come back. Also, my Giants fan Richie from Papillion has texted me this morning. Oh,
all right?
God.
You good?
Well,
yes. Thoughts?
The first 4 words are "I am more disgusted."
Oh.
So I think without his permission, I'm going to read his text on air. It's 41 past the hour. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. 1620 The Zone's 4-quarter pick'em returns. It's your chance to win $1,620. All you have to do is correctly pick 4 college or NFL games against the spread. Listen to qualify every weekday or enter online at 1620thezone.com. One lucky listener will be selected each week to make their picks live on air.
Awesome.
Go to 1620thezone.com for complete rules and contest details. It's 4-quarter pick'em with 1620 The Zone.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis. The Top Tracer building is always available for you, rain or shine, or in the case of the upcoming months, snow as well. But you are covered, you are comfortable, whether it's hot outside, you're cool inside. If it's cold outside, you are warm and comfortable inside. Not to mention a bevy of television so you can watch all the sports action, play virtual courses from around the world, dial in that distance, and a whole lot more. It's Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis.
Follow your imagination to the Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch. Bring the whole gang and explore for treasure on the pirate shipwreck. See how the West was fun. Pretend you're a superhero as you jump on giant bounce pads. Maybe reserve your own campfire rental where you can roast marshmallows and tell stories. It's all up to you. And of course, go on a hayride and grab your own pumpkin. Priced by the size, not the pound. Follow your imagination at the Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch. 48th between Cornhusker and Highway 370. More info at BellevueBerryFarm.com.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Fear has a name.
Ice cream, you screw, baby.
For 30 years, Scary Acres has been doing what they do best. scaring them out of you. The Master's Castle, House on the Hill, and the Haunted Woods. Scary Acres, the ultimate haunted attractions. 172nd and Giles. Sponsored in part by Raising Cane, Stereo West, and Ivy.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
It's amazing that they're going to have the baseball playoffs beginning today. It just is. I can't believe it because there's no Mets, there's no Yankees, there's no Red Sox, there's no Cardinals, and yet they're still going to host the postseason.
Yeah, it's
it's
still gonna
wild.
happen.
Yeah.
What is what? I mean, think about New
Fox
York.
is moving it to FS2.
New York sports talk right now just has to be somewhat painful because obviously with what the Jets are going through, but then last night with the Giants, but then you get into an all familiar time of the year where you, even if you get like afternoon baseball in the Bronx or you get a playoff night game in the Bronx, just like that's at least when the football team is off to a bad start, you can count on usually the Pinstripers, but if not, maybe occasionally you're going to get the Mets in there. The fact that you've got really no hope at all. Go Rangers. Go Rangers.
Go New York. Go New York.
Is that what they're saying right now?
New York,
I mean, with NBA Media Days?
We out here, Knicks fans. We out here.
Is that what they're saying?
Media Day yesterday.
NBA Media Days going on yesterday, and then hockey preseason games going on. Like, all right, we're on to Knicks basketball and Rangers hockey.
Well, okay, this give you a pulse of the sports talk going on in
Boston.
New York
Not much
City.
better right now either.
Yeah.
Other than the Celtics.
Well, yeah, but the Patriots game was bad, and then Tim Wakefield passed away.
Yeah, well, yeah, then there's that. But
Richie, this is Richie's text. So Richie, diehard Giants fan. They look like a bad team. They might only win 4 games this year, but this is his whole life. Like his cave is decorated. He wears his LT. He said, yep, he wore his LT last night.
Nice.
Okay, I'm more disgusted than ever. Daniel Jones is a piece of crap, and we gave him $40 million. Once again, I was right on that draft night. We have passed up Tua, Herbert, Lamar, to name a few. There's more. Thomas gets paid, stands on the sidelines while my season basically ends. 26 needs to go, another pick I didn't want. Maybe we can get another one standing on the sidelines. Coaching change, offensive line, special teams. I've seen enough of Wink. This D never makes players. This D never makes plays when needed. That's the worst offensive line I've ever seen. Neal needs to move to guard. Daniel Jones all by himself gave Seattle 14 points, and the 96-yard interception return was 7 for us. He basically lost the game. I've seen enough of him. Tank and get the USC quarterback. I don't see anything telling me we're getting more than 4 wins. So first of all, thank you, Richie, for listening.
Yes.
I'm trying to be optimistic for you, my man, because I worry about your health. You're now retired. So I'm like, but that's the true fandom right there. because we watched the Giants game together, and I left before it was over. 3 of the 4 games they have not looked good, and I like Dable.
Yeah, they beat the Cardinals.
I like Dable, but man, Daniel Jones is a bad quarterback. And when you have a bad quarterback, what do you have, boys?
A bad team.
Thank you.
Problems.
Thank you. All right, Doug writes in. So I wasn't going to do this because it's some might call it a Trash Tuesday, just by the tone of Richie and Doug.
It's supposed to be Turn the Page Tuesday. Turn the page
on
to Illinois.
Well, I think
I like Trash Tuesday to start.
I think when Harburg left his feet on 4th and 1, I was on to Illinois. And so were everyone student at Nebraska. All right, this is from Doug into his own inbox, his Equitable Bank inbox. I always got to read ahead here because I want to make sure, because Doug gets very emotional. All right, we've been told to have patience, and that's been 7 to 8 years, yet the athletic department has never discounted ticket prices, required donations, and gear. Didn't Trev say we had the 4th or 5th most expensive ticket in college football?
Mm-hmm.
Matt Rule said the same thing I've been saying. The players are playing in front of great fans, have great facilities. I'm pretty sure our NIL packages are in the top 4 of the Big Ten.
That's without knowing that to be 100%. That sounds right.
Nebraska really needs to shore up their NIL so that everybody is on board.
Like Dinkytown?
I don't know. As they transition to what they've seen to what they need, and I think Matt Rule has got to lean into that NIL and go get some dudes.
I hear what you're saying, yeah.
We paid too much, invest too much time and emotion to see that type of product. I didn't expect us to win, but to show up. It's pretty simple. We have enough talent to go to a bowl game, and doesn't look like that will happen this year. I hope I'm wrong. That is from Doug, who is very loyal and very passionate, and owns a bank.
He does.
And 2.
And
if you call him today, don't call about banking or your Christmas account you'd like to open, or what you're going to do with that $1.2 billion when you win the Powerball. Call and say, Doug, let's talk about the Huskers.
Yeah, he'll have a thought or two. Our Tuesdays, by the way, are they
Trash Tuesday?
Trash Tuesday, or can we just call them the Matt Rule overreaction show? Because we do get typically the most that we get from the head coach is on Monday. And yesterday, he was on fire. I thought yesterday he was Matt Rule, but with a little bit of piss and vinegar, which I'm a fan of.
Together? Seems like a stiff drink.
Together, that wouldn't be good. No, I'm not a fan of that in a glass. But the fire that Matt Rule showed. And what Doug says there at the end, I think, is why there was probably maybe a little more angst than anticipated, and that is, are you seeing a product? Because there was probably a lot of people that had Nebraska go into a bowl and probably did have them around this record going into Illinois. But it's what your eyes tell you. And you even said it yesterday. And I think a lot of us are kind of in that same neighborhood of, this might be a bad football team. And this is where
bad might be harsh. I don't want to. I have said 500 football team, and I don't know, is 500 bad?
Okay.
Yeah, it might be.
This might be a below average football team.
It's a football team, guys, that cannot endure the guy you pushed all your chips on, basically stealing the chips, and you can't find him. So the game is like suspended, and they have some significant injuries. It's not just offense. Yeah. I'm going to have a slow work up to Friday, but Reimer and I think Lenhart will be back. Reimer and Singleton not playing. We all love Sanford because he's sneaky athletic. He's a white kid from Benkelman. Boy, he plays hard.
And he's everywhere in special teams.
Deshaun Singleton is a dude.
Yeah.
So they're not built to have forks in the road yet that they can overcome or just drive through the construction barriers and keep on trucking.
Yeah, a team that can withstand some injuries in key areas to key guys.
Or players that don't live up to their end of the bargain.
Yep.
And you know who you are.
And Matt Rule talked about that yesterday without naming names, talked about NFL guys need to play like it. But the thing that I keep thinking is, and again, you said this earlier, And that is sometimes the truth hurts. And that's where probably this game was another reminder, just in case you started to get in love with what you saw the last couple of weeks, mainly with the defense. I don't know how anybody could be in love with what they saw, like with the offense, other than like the story of Heinrich Harburg and the kid from Kearney. But the defense alone, you can obviously gravitate towards that. Now you're kind of looking at, again, we're also talking, I don't want to let special teams off the hooks too. And I know we talked about it yesterday, but when you are a team that for the most part, you can rely on one phase, that's about it. This is kind of what you get. And I think that there was another dose of that reality, even against a great team, a team that very well could be playing for a natty this year, that it just kind of was that sobering reality. That's the best way I would put that is Michigan, although you didn't think you'd win, I didn't think you could go toe-to-toe with them for 4 quarters. What they exposed was kind of a sobering reality of this team. And then you pile on the injuries that have come with it too. And you're looking at, maybe that's the other thing too. You're looking at a stretch of the schedule that really does kind of open itself up for you. But you're also wondering, do we have the dudes to make the most of that stretch of our schedule before you get to Wisconsin and Iowa? Well, Maryland, Wisconsin, and Iowa now.
Oh, and I want to go back to something that you mentioned about Rule and starting the fire. Rule didn't start the fire.
We didn't start the fire.
Well, it's always been burning. Since Nebraska Husker Nation has been turning. He didn't start the fire. And we didn't light it. But as we all know, we've tried to fight it.
As soon as you said start the fire, I expected you to start just rattling off names, though.
No. I got a problem with this song.
Wait, which one? Which one?
Well, that's what I'm getting to.
There's only one version.
There is only one version.
Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you. Love you long time.
Yeah.
So
heard the other one change the station.
Okay.
It's bad.
So we got a music station. We got a few music stations in the stadium. And the Sweet 98 station plays a bunch of pop music, and they appeal to all the guys ever call into that show. People ever call into the morning show over on Sweet 98 that's a dude? It's always women. And that's who they appeal to.
Can I give you one exception, though? If your wife or significant other is preoccupied and you're trying to get them damn Vallis tickets, it's acceptable then. Then it's acceptable.
You're right.
You're doing something for the family.
There is nothing more popular in radio in Omaha than Vallis. And everybody be
Saturday? Next weekend.
Everybody be ready.
Yep. Next 2 weekends.
All right. The next 2 weekends, there is no Husker football. You better go now.
59 degrees on Saturday, too, so it's going to feel like pumpkin weather.
So back to We Didn't Start the Fire. Billy Joel, love the song. Have you ever seen Billy Joel in concert?
I have.
Yep.
Okay, the
song
song
with Elton John.
There is so much going on when he does that song. Yep. I mean, whether the videos, all that stuff. What in God's green earth is this new one from Fall Out Boy?
It's trash is what it is.
Okay, so they tried
Trash
to do
Tuesday.
a remix, and they updated the words to make it more recent.
More modern, yeah.
No. I mean, Tracy Chapman people are upset at Luke Combs. Where are the Billy Joel people upset at Fallout Boy?
That's a great point because
thank you.
It kind of compared it to, I thought there'd be more angst after the Minnesota game than there was the Michigan game.
I got thoughts today.
I thought there'd be more
Hemingway,
angst.
Eichmann, Stranger in a Strange Land, Dylan, Berlin, Bay of Pigs Invasion, Lawrence of
Harry
Arabia.
Potter, Twilight, Michael Jackson dies, nuclear accident. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with there. But I thought there would be more pushback on this than there would have been for Tracy Chapman, yet people were more like, whoa, Luke Combs.
So the little teeny bopper station in this building, I noticed is playing that all the time. So they play 3 songs. They got the Luke Combs, Get in My Car, Let's Drive Fast.
I drive a fast car.
They've got this one they're playing now. And
there's got to be a Morgan Wallen
song. And there's a Morgan Wallen song. That's all that
pick your Morgan
plays.
Wallen song. It's probably being played.
I believe
and they play an array of Taylor Swift songs.
Oh, yeah, that's actually in the
Gary, they bring up
station handbook.
Tiger King in this one. Tiger King.
Of course they did.
Isn't it? Taylor Swift is too.
Oh, why wouldn't she?
Stranger Things, Tiger King.
Taylor Swift and Deion Sanders are the 2 most powerful people in football right now.
Balloon Boy.
Balloon Boy.
Oh, yeah, Balloon Boy's in it.
Remember Balloon Boy?
Yeah, I remember it well.
It was a decade.
Watching it in Denver.
I mean, at least they do get Michael Jordan in there. But LeBron is mentioned before Michael Jordan.
Yeah, no.
Right there, your credibility.
When that song was...
I think it because it rhymed with the lyric.
Then figure out a different way to rhyme Michael Jordan before LeBron James. Come on. We're all keeping tabs here.
But they don't think that he's the GOAT.
Exactly. Credibility.
And that generation.
Dunzo.
This is why I had 2 words when I heard the other song before changing the station.
They bring up Woodstock 99, Keaton, Batman, Bush versus Gore. I can't take it anymore.
Remember when? Remember those days of Bush versus Gore?
Yeah, simple times.
That was interesting. All right,
2000, good year for football.
Hour in the book. Sam McEwen coming a little bit later. It is game week on Friday, Nebraska and Illinois. We also have the voice of the Fighting Illini. It is Burt week, and is the Fizz going fast in Champaign?
Oh,
and you're on one today. Why doesn't the World Herald hire me to?
You got to throw in some raisins to set off those bubbles. No, never heard of that.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, apparently.
Are these raisins from California?
Yeah, you just you put raisins in like flat champagne, and it'll
really
or pop, and it'll set off some more bubbles.
I don't drink a lot of champagne.
I don't either. I hate champagne. But,
Never heard that before. That's interesting.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a try.
You
next time.
Break that down? Like what's in the raisin that mixes with the champagne?
Once I heard him and thought that was a thing, and saw some more bubbles come out of it, I said, "Okay, I'm done. I don't need to know why. It just is a thing."
Yeah. That'd be an odd combo.
Oh yeah, I don't think it'd be good at all. I mean, again, champagne you can have it
once it hits your lips.
That just made me think of Eli trying to do the meatloaf last night.
Hour 2 of Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time. You can expect a little bit of slowdown eastbound along L Street near 108th. Then on Center, be prepared for a little bit of a delay from 183rd to 168th. And other than that, it looks like your commute this morning should be pretty smooth, even if you're running a bit late. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Signworks.
Since 1935, businesses all around Omaha have trusted one sign company with their visual branding, Signworks. We design, manufacture, and install signs of all kinds, including high-tech message centers like the new installation at Steelhouse Omaha. We can make your sign too. Signworksomaha.com.
Email us on the Equitable inbox with whatever is on your mind. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can hit me up, agree, disagree, tell me your thoughts on life at Handley at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Many people go back to the dealership out of habit or because they think the dealer is the only one who knows how to fix their car. At Omaha Car Care, we offer a better option. We have ASE certified technicians, the technology to service any vehicle, and free loaner cars. The dealer will sell you a package of services. We'll provide the service you want for your car as your trusted partner. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
You know, if we know anything, it's that local matters. Local shops, local restaurants, even locally brewed beers. October is Drink Local Month. So the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild is challenging beer, seltzer, and cider drinkers like you to put your palate through its paces and drink local brews. Because seriously, Nebraska is really on the cutting edge when it comes to brewers who think outside the box. And besides, you really want to be drinking what they drink over in Iowa? Didn't think so. Click nebraska.beer to find brews near you.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's deal is from Scary Acres, voted the #1 best haunt in Omaha by Best of Omaha since 2019 and #1 best haunt in Omaha by the Omaha Choice Awards. This deal includes 2 super combo passes to get you into all 3 attractions for just $30. Scary Acres, 172nd and Giles, pay just $30 for 2 super combo passes this Friday at 9 a.m.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com.
It started in Lincoln. Now it's in Omaha. It's Muchachos. At the heart of Muchachos is family. Muchachos uses new Mexican flavors with smoked barbecue passed down from generations. This flavor sensation is called New Mexican Barbecue Fusion. Come get your eat on and nosh on slow smoked pork brisket, chicken, queso, and mac. Try the fan favorite Hatch Mac Burrito with a craft beer or margarita. Muchachos is south of the Old Market at 1285 South 13th Street, or check them out at yomuchacho.com.
This Friday, we'll be at the Linden Market Hy-Vee at 132nd and Dodge as Hy-Vee hosts us once again for the unauthorized Big Red Breakfast Buffet on 1620 The Zone. Join us live from 6 to 10. I'm Gary Sharp along with Nick Handley as we enjoy breakfast from the Hy-Vee Market Grill featuring all your favorite breakfast foods.
This buffet is sure to make your day. A one-trip buffet is just $12 or all you can eat for just $15. The buffet includes scrambled eggs, party potatoes, bacon, sausage, biscuits and gravy, and assorted pastries. Join us this Friday at Hy-Vee on 1620 The Zone.
Let it fly. Your elevated sports bar experience. KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on a Tuesday. Trash Tuesday. I like it. We're going with that.
Turn the page Tuesday, guys. Come on.
I want to be friendly here.
Let's turn the page Tuesday.
We'll just have we'll take nominations for Tool of the Week on a Tuesday.
Hey,
there you go. Okay.
It can be this is a new
We can get on board
This is
with that.
starting right now. Just reading the stream comments. Should I know who Ward Bond is? Ward Bond is from Binkelman.
I do not know who Ward Bond is.
Let's start this. We'll have a Tool of the Week on Tuesday.
Okay.
Like
Get your nominations in
Could
now.
have a lot of nominations.
It can be us.
Could be us.
Yeah.
I feel like I fit that bill quite
Likely will be in some.
Please don't use the word likely. I mean, I'd like to keep our head above water.
Ward Bond looks like an old-time actor that was
Great
in
name.
some. Wait, was he in? For a second there, he looked like he might have been in Gilligan's Island. I'm off of that.
There's also a trust factor when somebody's first name has as many letters as their last name.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Like playing poker with someone who's named after a city.
All right, sorry for the interruption.
No, that's okay. No, we're coming up with names. Here is some headlines for you, or here are some headlines for you. Merritt Beeson named Big Ten Player of the Week. You can just copy and paste this. Second time this season, Bergen Riley named Co-Big Ten Setter of the Week, second week in a row, and Harper Murray selected as Big Ten Freshman of the Week for the third time. Beeson, Riley, and Murray play key roles in leading the Huskers to a 3-2 road win at Purdue on Friday and 3-1 at Indiana the next night. Creighton volleyball middle blocker Kiana Schmidt has been named Big East Defensive Player of the Week after helping the Jays to a pair of sweeps last weekend. Third time in her career that she has been named Big East Defensive Player of the Week, having also been honored twice last season. Omaha Soccer faces Creighton tonight, 6 o'clock at Morrison Stadium. They call it the Dodge Street Derby. I like it. In the NFL, Colts All-Pro running back Jonathan Taylor eligible to return from the PUP list. As of yesterday, he'll resume practicing with the team tomorrow. Could play as soon as Sunday's game against the Titans. Taylor's been on the PUP list since week 1, prohibiting him from playing or practicing with the Colts for the first 4 weeks of the season. Steelers quarterback Kenny Pickett avoided a major injury from the sack that caused him to leave Sunday's 30-6 loss to the Texans. He is not expected to miss much of any time. He could push the issue and play Sunday when the Steelers take on the Ravens. But the team also knows it has a bye the following week, could opt to rest him. Also doesn't help that they're playing the Ravens. Some baseball, the average time of a 9-inning major league game dropped to 2 hours, 40 minutes of the first year of the pitch clock, a 24-minute decrease in a season of a change that resulted in a spike in batting average and the most stolen bases in nearly 40 years. Left-handed hitters benefited from the new restrictions on defensive shifts. Runners took advantage of the slightly decreased distance between bases, and average fastball velocity set another record. The average game time dropped to its 1985 level after passing 3 hours for the first time in 2016. And finally, contrary to public opinion, baseball's postseason starts today with a wild card series. 4 games today. 4 games. Love it. One of the best times of the year. Texas at Tampa Bay, 2 o'clock on ABC. Hopefully they break out the old blue sports coats for that. Toronto at Minnesota, 3:30. Arizona at Milwaukee, 6 o'clock. And the nightcap, Miami at Philadelphia at 7. I still say best sports month of the year, but it's always a good debate.
Hey guys,
People
real quickly,
say April,
can I throw some Ward Bond films at you and you can tell me if you've ever heard of them?
I like this game.
The Big Trial, Maker of Men, Three Girls Lost, The Quiet Man, Hondo. I feel like
I heard of Hondo.
Rookie of the Year, but not the Rookie of the Year that you think. This
Are we
is
like in the 40s?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
50s?
These are like from
Yeah.
the 30s to the 50s.
I don't know if you know this or not, but Walt and Barb weren't getting busy. They didn't even know each other.
Yeah.
Were Walt and Barb even born?
So when... Well, that's the thing. So, okay. Ward Bond's first flick was in 1929. I know my parents weren't born then.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the random Ward Bond.
Mike says he was a regular in John Wayne movies.
Okay.
It's good enough for me.
Post World War I.
Yeah. His last film was 1959.
That's good. I wonder if they have a sign up in Benkelman.
Yeah.
This is where Ward
Birthplace
Bond
of Ward Bond.
Yeah.
And then it lists all the movies just in case you were wondering.
Quick note on something that Jimmy said. The Dodge Street Derby is going on today at
Like that
Morrison.
name.
Yeah, it's a great name. They play at 6. I also like that they're playing in October because they've in the past they've like played right in like the first week of the season.
Yeah, they usually do. Yeah.
So it's cool that they're playing
You're
in
right.
October. We'll go through all 4 series throughout the day, but the Philadelphia Phillies, who have played like for 4 months like they're a 100 win team,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel like they're more than a wild card team. You know what I get from the Phillies? I get 2015 Royal vibes.
They're dangerous.
Lost in the World Series.
Yep. Come back pissed.
And they, they've had an okay season. I mean, Kyle Schwarber hits 197, 47 homers, 104 RBIs. How about that line?
Like it.
They could be very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
And the Marlins are fun. They got Skip Schumacher, who probably the manager of the year, and you couldn't pick him unless you're a Cardinal fan. You couldn't pick him out of a lineup.
Mm-hmm.
You would have no idea who he is. They're 26th in runs. They've got a negative run differential. So I think that series will be quick. But man, I think the Phillies are dangerous.
I kind of laughed at
Look out, Braves.
I laughed at Otson, and I think he was kind of for a while saying it sarcastically, but now I think there was some truth to it of like, don't let the Phillies get hot. Don't let the Phillies get hot.
93 flashback.
And here they are.
Well, so Wheeler will throw first from Nola is the whole key. He's been all over the map, especially in September, and I think his ERA was about 4.5. If he can pitch well, the Phillies are even more dangerous. So I like the Phillies in 2 in that series.
Hey, by the way, real quickly, the Dodge Street Derby is on 1180 today.
All right.
We got to.
You know what? My buddy on Friday nights, John Schreiner and his father-in-law are doing the game.
His father-in-law?
Yeah, his father-in-law.
Nice.
Father-in-law is a big soccer guy.
Aw. Like
Yeah.
a little family thing
Yeah.
going on there. That's kind of fun. Can't imagine calling any game with my father-in-law. I love my father-in-law. He's a great guy, but I can't imagine actually hey, Ron. Unless we were doing golf. He's a big golf guy.
I couldn't do a game with my dad. My dad is the most random person.
Well,
ooh, that could be good.
Now baseball, he might be pretty good.
Yeah.
But he just is.
And baseball's perfect.
Here,
If you're just random.
Here's my dad text. Okay. He'll just randomly tell me that he ran into somebody that knows me. Like nothing else.
Which is great at a baseball broadcast.
And the 2-2.
You just randomly point out a fan doing something, or by the way, speaking of such and such, it reminds you of something that you did earlier in the day or the day before, and you bring it up. That plays in Major League Baseball broadcasts.
So he doesn't live anywhere in the Midwest. Lives down in Florida. And this was a
So we
month.
see some things.
This was a month and a half ago. Just a random text. Hey, ran into Todd Wishman's mom. Now,
I don't know who Todd Wishman is, but
Todd Wishman.
hell of a guy.
Todd Wishman and I went to high school together.
Yeah.
And I haven't talked to Todd Wishman since we had our graduation. But somehow my dad ran into his folks and he just decided to text me. Now, what am I going to do with that?
Did he say at least they say hi? Did you get it?
No, he just-
or it's just I
no.
ran into him.
See, my
Yeah.
response would have
And
been,
you're
how's
like,
the mom look?
And you're waiting for the and then this is why I love my parents.
The worst thing one of the worst things I ever did involving my parents is I taught them technology. And my dad thinks texting is the coolest thing.
My dad gave up on cell phones. He just lets my mom handle that. And then my mom, who's so good at grammar on texting, very, very proper.
Times New, or not Times New,
And
AP style.
And then once she learned the beauties of emojis, there's a lot of exclamation points, but then a lot of emojis too.
My dad
usually
signs his
multiple
dad,
emojis.
just so I know that it's dad.
Oh yeah, my mom used to do that.
He sent me some text where hey, it's your dad.
Hey.
Well, I got you in my phone. Okay, you're my ice.
So I have 3 older brothers, and we finally gave my mom so much crap about when she first started texting, she'd always put, whatever the text was, and then she'd put love mom. And we're like, Mom, we got it. Like we know it's you. And we just know. It's an unspoken thing that you love us. So you don't need to put either one. Yeah.
All right. Hey, by this time last year, now watch. Someone will let him know that I'm talking about him on the air, and I'm going to get some just random text.
Heard you were talking about me on the radio. And then that'll be it.
Hey, make sure you wish Brian well. I'll be watching him, but they don't got a chance against the Phillies. But make sure you tell him that I'm hoping that the Marlins do well. Okay, Dad. You know what? You happen to have his phone number. Why don't you text him? Do you know by this time last year in college football, 5 Power 5 coaches had been fired, including Nebraska's own Scott Frost?
Yeah.
0 have been fired this year.
Oh, everybody's safe now.
I mean, okay, Mel
Tucker, but not in
yeah.
different circumstances, obviously.
Not in the conventional.
Yeah. Like you're bad, so we're getting rid of you.
Yeah. Perform well.
Old-fashioned can't win
I
football.
don't even want to use performance on that one, too, because you can probably trace it back to performance in just a different area.
Hey, as long as you perform.
Oh, you have
decisions making.
I mean, I just saw Tiki Barber is promoting Limitless Mail.
Saw that too.
Yeah, is it going to be Mel Tucker?
NIL.
When you're on the phone call with your significant other, you want to make sure you're at the top of your game. Don't let getting old ruin your testosterone level.
Tucks are coming. Okay, so you brought up something last hour about the future, and if you missed our chat in the opening hour, kind of was around shouldn't there have been more angst about Minnesota compared to the Michigan game?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's just recency bias. But here's the thing. So the truth is coming about this program. It's more of a measuring stick in the last 7 games because there are more teams you're going to play in the neighborhood with. You're not going to face as good as quarterbacks as Sanders and McCarthy. Baby Tua is probably the best quarterback that is left on the schedule. But there are teams that play in your neighborhood and actually teams that have the same issues you do. Illinois and Nebraska share a lot of similarities on Friday night of where they are right now. That's a bad thing for Illinois because Illinois was maybe 3rd or 4th in the league and Nebraska was maybe 6th in this league. But they share a lot of similarities, and they're both going to say, it isn't about you, it's about us.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever did that with a girl. It's not about you, it's about me.
Yeah, it's not you, it's me.
So Bielema and Rule are both going to go, it's not about you, it's about us this week. And
No
that's
disrespect.
the appropriate thing to do. But I know y'all are speculating on what the schedule is. I just say Nebraska is not at a position in their program yet to start rattling off, okay, we got Northwestern, we got Purdue, and okay, that column, it'll go there. I don't see many checks in the right column, which is the L column. I think you got to be cautious of that because of where Nebraska currently is. But is there any game, because I'm not playing this game, but I'm setting it up for both of you because you like game shows.
Love them.
No whammies. Is there a game that you are certain of that you are going to put in the left-hand column?
No.
Okay, so
no, because I would have said Northwestern. I'm not.
That's an issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's an
big time.
issue that you have. You could maybe say, hey, we have 4 winnable games.
Yeah.
But then, man, we have 7 losable games.
Yeah.
So no game in the left-hand column.
I wouldn't. Jimmy, I don't know if you agree or disagree with that.
I'll still put Northwestern, but I'm not feeling as confident as I was a couple of weeks ago. That could change by Friday night.
I like the fact that Northwestern is at least
they're playing
they're
hard.
putting with what they have, and they've found a little bit with their quarterback and running back.
Shout out to
they
David
were
Brown.
able to play a very close game in the first half against Penn State before that thing opened up in the second half. So yeah, that one is definitely a lot more on my radar than it was before. And this is the other unknown, guys. How does a Matt Rule coach team come out of a bye week compared to previous years? Because that's the first game out of the bye week at home. You hope maybe you get a little more healthy, but
so that's a good point. I also think there's another thing about this month. So there is Illinois Friday night. There is Northwestern on the 21st. Then there is Purdue on the 28th.
Yep.
Who looked really good Saturday.
Nebraska, and I'm stealing this from Mr. McEwen, who will join us here in a little bit. Nebraska has not had a winning October. Let me get this right here. Winning October since 2016.
Remember 2016?
They were 7-0.
A winning October. November is the month to remember.
Yeah.
But you can't let up in October. I think there was some crooner that once said that.
that does sound like a popular lyric.
So there are two things. What you brought up about coming out of a bye week, because I think Nebraska will do a lot of self-scouting.
I would hope so.
Once they make it to Saturday, and before they play 2 Saturdays from then, they're going to do a lot of self-scouting. They also need to go find some dudes. Okay, and they also need to embrace the portal. Which, by the way, Javier Morton into the portal.
In the portal.
Your favorite Javier Morton memory?
It had to be a special teams moment last year.
Yeah.
It really, really just gave it all in special teams.
He actually played on Saturday.
Yeah, I did. You got what, 5 snaps? Well, he was on special teams, and he actually played a little bit in the secondary.
Got some tape.
When the game was well in hand. But yeah, that actually broke last night too. It's like, oh, by the way, it was a news dump. Javier Morton.
There you go. Go ahead. Bail after you lose 45-7. So October is vitally important moving forward because you're going to play your tougher games probably in November, even without divisions. But October will be the month where you keep your head above water.
Yeah.
Those are all curious things. So no guarantee in the left column.
No, I don't think so at all.
So that's an issue.
Yeah. That's a big issue.
So did that change if I would have said that to you? Oh, even Friday.
If you would ask me the question on
would
Friday,
you have said the same thing?
I probably would have been a little less bullish. I don't want to make it sound like I'm bullish on Northwestern. That game itself seems to always just be weird no matter what. But I probably would have leaned more heavily. Yeah, they got Northwestern. Then after I saw what Northwestern now 2 weeks in a row, putting up a good fight against Penn State, who's far better than they are. Okay, that's not going to be a walk in the park. So maybe I would have changed my tune a little bit, but not necessarily how Nebraska played against Michigan, but that Northwestern
What you're
was able
saying
to...
is 2 and 10's on the table.
Whoa.
It could be.
How about just playing Friday? Nobody knows how the rest of this division is going to play out.
Well, yeah.
When you get to the halfway point. Wisconsin's coming off a bye week. Iowa's got a new quarterback. I mean, everybody's got warts.
Yeah, everybody's gettable.
But this division comes down to Iowa at Wisconsin. That's what this comes down to.
Well, and this is where
if Wisconsin beats Iowa, no one's going to catch Wisconsin.
There was a time not that long ago when Nebraska, even in the early stages of the Big Ten, you would always look at certain non-conference opponents and you'd say, yeah, that's a win. Feel pretty good about that. And then there would be certain teams in the Big Ten West, or in the legends and leaders, as we once called it.
Rest in peace.
Where you could look at certain teams where you just felt like Nebraska was far ahead of them, and they weren't really showing any signs of getting got by them. And now, really in the last 6-7 years, there's not a team that resides in the Big Ten right now that you say, yep, Nebraska always gets them. That's a win right there. So instead of going to
Jesus, that hasn't happened for 25 years.
I guess that is true. But now it's kind of, and this is again sort of symbolic of where I think the program is, and where I think again I'd like to see it go when it comes to raising that floor, is where you can get to some of those teams, some of your peers, and feel good about you've out recruited them, out developed them, and now you're out playing them on the field, and there's a body of work to back that up to where it's no longer, well, there's an opportunity on Friday. There's an opportunity out of the bye week against Northwestern. There's an opportunity, just using that word as opposed to saying there's a win on Friday. There's a win coming out of the bye week, because
we'll see
you've got the body of work in the past couple of years between recruiting, development, and actually what you've done against them on the field that would lead you to believe, not based on just some crazy ambition and hope, but you have reason to believe because you've seen it happen consecutive years.
You know what? I've been able to do this for 8 years, for about 9 years. Person that used to sit in your chair, they would have given me the death stare. They would have picked their keys up and hurled them across the room if we were having this discussion. So thank you for entertaining our masses out there.
You're welcome.
A couple of tweets here, and then we'll take a break. Sam McEwen is in the green room. Way too much crazy on Twitter.
That's the name?
That's his Twitter
Okay.
name.
Way too much
I like
crazy.
that.
I like it too.
I don't feel like there's been a guarantee in the left column for at least 7 years.
I agree.
Kyle, who's a Wisconsin fan, so sick of hearing the Big Ten West is so bad from Nebraska fans. I think we can all agree this year. You don't have to be a Nebraska fan. You can be a Purdue or an Illinois fan. The Big Ten West is a little bit on the struggle bus.
Yeah, Nebraska's part of it.
But I'll give credit. I said this. Hey, Wisconsin was my favorite to win the division. Their loss to Washington State doesn't look so bad.
No.
Nebraska is what making the Big Ten West so bad. Hey, now. They have been dragging this division down since it started. Well, I don't think every year they have.
No.
I think there have been a couple of years in there where Nebraska hasn't been the anchor.
No.
Yeah.
We've seen Northwestern here as of late.
Yeah, I think we got to be fair here.
Mm-hmm. But have they been towards the bottom? Have they been living there below sea level? Yes, they have.
Let's be honest.
Yes, they have.
Nebraska doesn't like playing in divisions, so they were just waiting for the Big Ten to get rid of divisions before they start their ascent.
This is all a big stunt.
Yes.
By
CIA
Nebraska.
rule.
I get it now.
All right. A little bit later, we will dive into Illinois. They got some issues as well, especially, could this be like a 17-9 game? Both teams have trouble scoring, and Illinois' defense, without Ryan Walters, has taken a little step back, especially on the stop rate. I did not think going into this game that Nebraska's stop rate would be much better than Illinois' stop rate, but it is 34 spots higher.
Wow.
Kudos Tony White.
Yeah.
What's going on in Champaign? Sam McEwen of the World Herald joins us next on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Hey, what's going on at Woodhouse Buick GMC and 119th and I? That's a good question. I'll call them up. I'll find out for sure. But I can tell you, I think I know what's going on, is they are having a great run this month on the 23 GMC Sierra. It started last month. It's now into this month. The 23 GMC Sierra is for you. I've driven it. Okay. It is, you got 4 impressive engine options. It's got some giddy up and go. And with an expansive interior and user-friendly infotainment system, the 23 GM Sierra 1500, which you can find at 119th and I, Woodhouse Buick GMC, or online at woodhousebuickgmc.com, is the vehicle for you. Plus, right now, you can save $4,000 off MSRP. They simply have something for everyone. If you're in the market for a passenger vehicle, a stylish SUV, or that capable truck for business or pleasure, the place to go. Woodhouse Buick GMC, huge indoor showroom that we can shop comfortably in all kinds of weather, even with frost this weekend? No, not Scott, but Jack. 119th and I, or online at woodhousebuickgmc.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on The Crossover.
Bacon is the most flavorful food in the whole world.
Bacon to a baby, and then give the baby a piece of sausage. The look on the child's face when they eat the bacon, mind blowing.
Can you trust a child for your food takes, and that's your problem?
Yes.
That's the problem.
Yes, there you go.
Hey, look at this baby. That baby knows.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, The Connor Happer Show on Sportsmanlike Conduct. 6A to 6P, 1620, The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Your Tuesday morning forecast will include partly cloudy to mostly cloudy conditions, remaining mild throughout the morning and early afternoon. Spotty showers possible as we progress throughout the late afternoon and early evening. Afternoon highs topping in the upper 70s and lower 80s. More chances of strong to severe storms west of the metro for later on this evening into the overnight. I'm meteorologist Anthony Copeland for KETV News Watch 7.
Don't miss a moment this fall. Head over to KuglerVision.com right now. That's KuglerVision.com.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a significant delay from 156 to 138th on Industrial Road. Then on Dodge, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown from 80th to 72nd. And on L, be prepared for a significant slowdown from 53rd to 39th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott.
Join Los Hills Harley Davidson and Jenny Edmondson Hospital for Breast Cancer Awareness Poker Run. It's October 14th with free breakfast, free will donation, raffles, and more, with proceeds going to Jenny Edmondson Hospital for Breast Cancer Awareness. Get details at loshillshd.com.
Say goodbye to summer and hello to cash loans. Let's face it, your personal banker probably won't loan you thousands of dollars today, but Saul's Jewelry and Loan will. Simply bring in your boat, camper, RV, jet ski, ATV, motorcycle, even your beautiful convertible, along with a clear title, and Saul's will loan you up to $50,000. No credit check, no hassle, and more importantly, no worries. Saul's indoor storage facility is so clean and secure, you can store your precious Harley Davidson for the winter and pick it up next spring. So if you need a quick cash loan, Saul's is here to help.
Brent Rasmussen of Mortgage Specialists.
You've decided to buy a house. Now what? You know, it doesn't matter if you're a first-time home buyer or a seasoned homeowner. The home buying process is not the same as ordering something from Amazon. The biggest trick is knowing how much you really can afford before the real house hunting can begin. I mean, really know. There's no time for guessing games, which is why talking with a mortgage professional like Mortgage Specialists first can make a difference. Some house hunting websites have calculators that'll give an estimate of the monthly payments, but they aren't really reliable. It's a better idea to get an accurate payment estimate using your own personal information. That's where Mortgage Specialists can help. Really help. Find out more when you subscribe to Mortgage Matters in Minutes on our YouTube channel. Just search Mortgage Specialists LLC.
Click mtg-specialists.com. NMLS number 5918, Equal Housing Lender.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Rizumkizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine. Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
If you love whiskey or want to learn more, then get to Omaha Whiskey Fest Saturday, October 7th from 2 to 5 at the Hilton downtown Omaha. Sample from more than 400 whiskeys. It's the largest whiskey event in the region. Get tickets at omahawhiskeyfest.com.
Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard has something fun for all ages. Come take a ride on their antique cars called Stefan's Country Drive, where the kids are the drivers. This year, they have 2 new rides called Freya's Egg Spinners and Cousin Lauren's Racing Pigs. Visit the cider mill area where you can have a drink of their refreshing apple cider and taste some of our delicious barbecue at Ethan's Applewood Smokehouse. Vallas has over 50 other attractions included with admission. Vallas is the place to visit this fall.
This hour is powered by Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair, Nebraska on 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, 32 past the hour on a Tuesday. It's Illinois week, and it's Sam McCune of the World Herald. Good morning.
Good morning. Illinois week. It said with gusto.
Okay, how about we do this?
Exciting.
It's Burt week.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same.
No question about it.
Hey,
pretty much.
Thank you while you were yawning. Hey, let's get into some play calling here, because that's a popular thing, because we all are offensive line coaches and play callers in this state. The Marcus Satterfield, oh boy, I almost said the Louisville head coach. Or not the Louisville head coach, the Cincinnati head coach. The Marcus Satterfield offense, because I don't think Friday night is going to change much. Will the first 6 games look like the last 6 games? And this is a two-part question. Isn't this low-hanging fruit with him of dissecting play calling with what they're currently working with?
Yeah. The second question, I think, is, yeah, I mean, I do. I think they don't have enough of the pieces. At South Carolina, where he was last year, I think they did. You know, they had the receivers and the running back and the tight end. I think Nebraska's got a pretty good tight end. I think Fedoni brought some things to the table. But generally speaking, yeah, I think it's too hard to firmly determine exactly, you know, what his tendencies are going to be based on what they're working with. I think it's fair to present at the quarterback position, that was sort of that was within your ability to shape and mold. And the choice that they made is a guy that turned it over 6 times 2 games. I don't think that's been the case with Harburg. I think he's been brought along pretty well. I think he's turned over a couple of times, twice in 3 games. Of course, the competition hasn't been as good, but you know, I think there's aspects of what they're doing that's likable, but they just aren't on the field enough. I mean, they're on the field for 45, 50 plays. Nebraska, you know, isn't good enough on third down on defense. So, like, I don't know that he's getting in a consistent and constant rhythm. Nebraska's not yet interested in going tempo. I wonder if watching Purdue will change their mind. I'm just not sure, as I've said this a couple of times, huddling up, playing a play every 40 seconds. I just don't know if you're going to move the ball with consistency on a lot of these defenses, if they have time to gather their senses and think about what you're going to do. So we'll have to see what you need when you do that, when you huddle up and you have to have big plays, or you have to be really, really consistent in your execution. I don't think the latter is going to happen. I just don't. I think they've got too many new guys, too little depth. So they need to find big plays, and that sometimes can be difficult to manufacture.
And Sam, with the quarterback play of Heinrich Harburg, and knowing that you have a bye week looming, short turnaround is interesting. I guess I don't expect much to look different offensively as far as how they go about their offense against Illinois, but I am curious, not that they're going to all of a sudden throw in a new philosophy, but maybe even simplifying a little bit more, and almost kind of to your point right there of where you're kind of keying in on the things that you know are working, but especially for a quarterback that it's hard for me to say, well, this is exactly who Heinrich Harburg is without kind of seeing a full season. Like, I mean, is there a reason to believe that he can still kind of evolve, but in order to do that the offense becomes a little bit more simplified for him?
That's possible. Heinrich played in a shotgun pass offense in high school. Mm-hmm. He's used to that. He's seemed pretty comfortable standing back and throwing the ball. I think and I'm not saying he's accurate. He wasn't terribly accurate in high school. He's about a 58% passer in high school. Mm-hmm. But he does create big plays for you. And so that's something that he brings to the table. I'm guessing that, again, like, the longer I'm in this, the more that I pay close attention to the necessity of the moment. I'm sure Nebraska football had some plays that if they had needed to dig into their repertoire, they could have used against Michigan if the game was still in doubt. But it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I think the thought process is, well, we're not going to sit here and get Heinrich Harburg, pounded by running the quarterback on all these other plays. And so they did. And sometimes those kinds of phrases can, like, if reporters are inclined to say, well, what do you mean they took the quarterback run away? Like, they tried to take the quarterback run away for 30 years with Nebraska football, and they didn't manage to do it. So what are you talking about? But I think we know that in a game like that, they're just going to limit Harburg because they're not going to get him beat up in a game they're going to lose by 38. So there's aspects to that game that I think shaped Rule's initial response when Sip asked him that question on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think as the press conference went on, and then as we saw again on Monday, I think he recalibrated and was like, I can't sit here and say that we left a bunch of stuff in our back pocket. I have to sit here, we've got to talk about the essential fact that we probably didn't, we probably put some things in our back pocket because we weren't going to win. Like, those are hard things to say. So I think his response on Monday was indicative of, there's got to be a sense to be more competitive early in games.
So early in your tenure, Game 5, and it was a clear-em-out stadium, which not many coaches 5 games into their tenure have one of those at Memorial Stadium in the last 2+ decades. But is there and this is going to sound like an odd question, but this is kind of where Nebraska football is there a benefit to getting beat 45-7 like they did on Saturday?
Potentially, if you can internalize that and say not again, and use that as a stepping stone to the rest of the season, I think it certainly creates within some folks the impression of, well, there's the gap between Nebraska and Michigan, and that's always, of course, something that you can put on the previous head coach, which nobody's done. I mean, Rule's not going to do that. He won't do that, and I think that's commendable. Frost quite frequently did. And that people pay attention to that. They actually don't like hearing it, even if they use it as an excuse on a message board. And so Rule hasn't pushed that button, probably won't push that button, which I think is commendable. But yeah, I think there can be advantages to it, depending on what you do with Friday's game and then the games after the bye week.
Sam, defensively, and I think you asked the question too about the pass rush and what Nebraska's trying to get accomplished. And, I know he'd mentioned they're doing a lot of 4-man pressure, but when you do kind of look at where that group has gone and just in that element of the defense, I'm trying to remember, the last couple of years, just what your eyes would tell you if it still does look more effective than what we saw in previous years. But I mean, is there belief that that is still an area that Nebraska is going to continue to kind of improve, and that's going to be another dimension of this defense that you can kind of rely on, especially as you get, guys healthy, Cam Lenhart being one of those guys?
I think it's possible. Yeah. I think they can get better there as Terrence Knight works with the guys and they develop more pass rush moves. Nebraska blitzed a lot in the first two or three games, and I thought it was a pretty good strategy, to be honest with you. They knew Shedeur Sanders is not a scrambler, which he isn't. And so I think one of the things that you knew going into that game, if people watch the TCU game, they knew this guy's not going to just run all over on us. So we're going to bring pressure because he can't escape laterally. And it's something that Sanders will have to work on is his lateral speed. But so they were able to stack him a lot. Now he made some plays too, for sure, but they're able to get him a lot. I think McCarthy's very mobile, and he can run side to side for sure. And so I don't think they wanted to put too much on him. Simultaneously, again, you fall down 14-0, and then you're down 21-0, and you got to ask, okay, so what are we going to unpack here? What are we going to unload on this guy? And of course that contributed to the final score. Nebraska didn't run any trick plays, or they didn't bring the house over and over. It wasn't Kevin Cosgrove against Texas. I'm of the belief that in college football, quarterbacks are actually not very good at dealing with pressure, and McCarthy seems to be. But like you can bring pressure like every down, and it might be quite effective. But that's just not something that coaches are predisposed to doing. And so I think we're going to see more schematic versatility and more whatever you call it on Friday. Illinois cannot protect the quarterback at all.
Nope.
And so I think Nebraska's got to go after him and really get aggressive and have a different strategy than they did against Michigan. And I think one of the reasons that I've been harping on you've got to match another team's energy early, especially Michigan, is because of what happened. And I totally understand the body blows philosophy. I certainly get all that. He kind of said, well, our defense has to understand we're a defensive team. So the defense has to come out, hell on wheels from the first drive of the game, because he basically said our offense is going to take time to feel it out. And that's fine. That's fine. Offense needs to start better. Yeah. That's just my personal take is you got to come out with more than they haven't, and maybe starting with Illinois they will.
Sam McCune of the World Herald joining us, and you're right about Illinois, and they could be down 2 offensive linemen that got injured against Purdue. They given up 20 sacks, but Purdue got 13 pressures, and I don't know if that's a Walters. He's going against his old team, but Purdue's not the only team that has heated up Altmaier. I'm going to go back to offense. So I'm glad you brought up energy. So this offense, they only ran 46 snaps against Michigan. Okay, that's low. And when you only run that many snaps and you huddle up and you don't go tempo, I guess it's okay to have 3 wide receivers that eat up 95% of those snaps. I say that a little tongue-in-cheek because I'm wondering, we all are, you ask the question, we wonder aloud, we watch it. We now know that, Doss was out with a broken arm, which we kind of knew. Coleman didn't play because of the concussion, but is back. And then Jalen Lloyd got in late. And Jalen Lloyd, by the way, almost caught Joshua Fleeks on his touchdown. That shows you the track speed that Lloyd has. How do you get those guys on the field at wide receiver? What happens in the transition to the second half of the season where it's not just Bullock, Washington, and Kemp that are out there all the time catching passes?
That's a great question. I think some of it is getting them to be consistent in practice so that you feel really good about the plays that they can execute on the field. Blocking is almost certainly some of it. It has to be. Because what you don't want is a situation where, these schools scout. These Big Ten stabs or $1 million stabs. If they see Malachi Coleman come on the field, they're like, well, he's not out there to do anything but run a route and catch a pass. So you have to find a way to put them out in what you would call normal down and just block, and just not run a route. That's part of how you hide a talent like that until you want to use them. And so I think blocking is part of it. Just knowing the playbook. Will mentioned that with Quentin Ives, it's the difference between cards and doing other things. I just don't think they're that concerned about it, apparently, because they could have moved Ramir Johnson receiver. They didn't. They could have played Josh Fleek. They didn't. They could play Ty Hanmore. I'm pretty confident Ty Han will block all day long. They're not. I think he played 1 snap.
Yeah.
So, my conclusion is, they're pretty focused on the 3 and maybe getting a couple more freshmen going. And obviously the Xavier Betts departure, we probably underplayed that a little, but I think it was a big deal to them.
Yep, true.
So that's part of it. Again, this is a big play offense. It's designed to be a big play offense. People often look at no huddle tempo offenses as big play offenses, and they certainly can. But the advantage of a no huddle tempo is you can grow 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards, 45 yards. Like that's kind of how that'll work. When you're running Nebraska's offense, you either need to be really good at running the football, really consistent, or you need to hit big plays. And they hit some, but they haven't hit a ton. And that's kind of the next step. It's how they want it to be. It's not the West Coast offense, is my point. It's not a ball control, roll out, 5 yard throw, tight end stick. It's not that. That's an incredible offense if you could run it. But that's hard to run, and that's not who Harburg is. And maybe if you had Noah Vedral, you could do that. Yeah. But Harburg is a big play guy, and so they're going to have to find ways to get him going. And and that's all on the offense. I just don't know. I just don't know what it's going to look like until you have the pieces. And the question mark about Nebraska football for a long time is, can you now get the pieces at Nebraska? Irving Fryer and Mike Rozier. Can you get those players at Nebraska now? I just don't know. Everybody knows who Irving Fryer and Mike Rozier are today. You know, they've got recruiters all over the place, as opposed to there's 4 schools coming in to Camden, New Jersey to find that guy. It's changed. So can you recruit that guy? We'll see.
Sam, after the game on Saturday, and even a little bit yesterday, in fact, a little bit more of it yesterday, Matt Rule kind of talked about, a little bit of the winning mentality, and he got into that. And it almost seemed like Saturday he was kind of surprised that the question about match and intensity, continues to be asked. And there's, sort of a narrative about this team. And then yesterday he really got into the winning mentality. Do you think that was something that even when he got here, it was brought up a lot, but he just kind of figured, hey, that was a problem in the past. It's not going to be a problem now, but maybe it has sensed at least a little bit of that in the locker room of sort of the mental state of a team when they are trailing compared to, maybe what he thought it would be like, or at least what they were trying to coach him up in the fall.
Yes, all that. I think you're tracking it well. And of course it's a daily battle. Look, they paid really well. Let's be clear. So they're paid, they're compensated well to do the job that they have.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a hard job. Like, it's hard. And he has to, focus on the next minute, the next day, every game day, the 3-month view. What are things going to look like on December 19th? What's things going to look like in a year? What are things going to look like in 3 years, 5 years? All of that. And it has become a hard job. And so I think probably, again, I don't know this for certain, but I think maybe they just got a little, it was hot out there. It was 95. And it just was like, yeah, not feeling it today.
Mm-hmm.
Not lost Luke Reimer before the game. Deshaun Singleton's hurt, playing Michigan. I think the coaches have made kind of a studied purpose of not tapping into emotion. So, they didn't take the field with a fevered pitch. I think, well, I don't know if I think they've got to tweak a little bit of the pregame. Let's, find a little bit more juice or emotion in the tunnel walk or whatever it's going to take.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a business-like approach to the way they're doing things. And sometimes when you approach things like that, you get sort of a muted response.
Yeah.
So I think he's got to figure out at all times, how to push the buttons and where to find them and all of those things. Yeah, I think I understand what he means when he's saying teach him how to win. I get that, and we'll see. Again, the way he wants to do this, the style of football he wants to play, you're going to have to be really, really tough, and you're going to have to get really good football players who develop over the course of 5 years. So this is the beginning of this process, not the end. I mean, this is not a shortcut kind of deal. This isn't what's his face did at Tennessee, Heupel. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, Josh Heupel's won some games. That'll fall apart in about 3 years because it's hard to sustain that thing. This isn't that. This is going to be the thing that they're like, hey, in 5 years, you're going to like what you see. But it takes time and it takes players. And I think they're still developing those players.
Yep. Sam, great stuff. Safe travels into Champaign. Looking forward to all the content leading up and afterwards as well. And as always, appreciate your time.
Take care.
Sam McEwen of the Omaha World Herald. One of those groups, offensive line. To build depth, still about 2-3 years away. Got to get some players that run out of eligibility that have not progressed throughout their career. That's an area where you're 2 to 3 years away from developing depth. Because I don't know, you want to do an exercise that'll bang your head into the wall and try and figure out the offensive line?
Well, that's my only option.
Look at the starting offensive line in the 2021 Michigan game and what they did. And the starting offensive line in the 2023 game. That's your homework assignment during the break.
All right.
And you can tell me what's the same. You might be surprised.
I love these like sobering reality checks too.
Well,
I
think that's what the past few days have been.
Yeah. Okay, you have to talk about
you
this.
do. You absolutely do.
Okay.
And that's
you have to face reality. I mean, that's the problem. We don't want to be patient. And I get that. We've all been around here. We've seen enough bad football. I got to hear the same shtick over and over and over and over. I want good football. I want something that looks like good football. But you have a guy now that I know what Sam was saying. Damn, I think Rule is being very professional because I think Rule would like to go there about what's on campus right now. I think he's got that on the tip, but he's wise enough.
Yeah.
Not going there, haven't gone there, not going to do it.
Definitely not now.
But you finally have a football coach that is telling you what the situation is. I got a lot of work, of work. And now that they're inside of 5 games and you're losing key components and you got a patchwork collection, I'm telling you that this is going to be a little bit more right now. And we haven't wanted to listen to that. I think for the first time we're listening to it. I think we are. Maybe I could be off, but I think we are. And that's okay.
I think you're right.
Right?
You said it yesterday.
You got to talk about reality. Okay, you got to face facts.
Absolutely
right now.
do.
And it's not just the Michigan game. We kind of knew it, but it gets emphasized when it's Michigan and they beat you into a pulp.
Yeah, because teams like that are not going to allow you to mask any issues with you're not going to get away with things.
Yeah, you get exposed.
Yeah.
And so in previous years, and I think we've discussed this before, weren't always being real with problems, or there was maybe a little bit of the belief that don't worry, I got this. Yeah, it's not as big of a deal as you think. I do like the approach as long as what is being relayed publicly is also being emphasized internally. Of before we can move on, we need to be real with what happened. We need to understand exactly what we are before we can go forward and build some type of game plan to be successful the following week. I don't know for a fact, but I feel pretty confident that wasn't the case in previous years. And we talk about this a lot of the cutting corners of you're extremely reactionary to a moment as opposed to kind of looking at the big picture and understanding what you are, what you aren't, and being able to play within the confines of what you are and being able to maximize what that is to where the product, even if you fall short, even against teams, like Michigan, it shows that you are nowhere near of that skill level or developed there, that you're still kind of playing within the identity that you are. And that starts with just being very real to everybody in that room and being truthful and being able to identify that stuff. Again, when Matt Rule said that, it was very refreshing to hear.
Well,
and
transparency, which is
absolutely
is nice to have, and especially after a loss.
Agreed.
Because after a loss, you can be better and you set the standard.
Mm-hmm.
He did that yesterday.
Agreed. And there was emotion behind that too. That wasn't just coach speak. I need to say this to appease the masses. You could tell he had a lot that he wanted to process and get out there, but I don't think it was just for show.
No.
There's substance there.
Next hour, Brian Barnhart, the voice of the Fighting Illini, will join us. Brian Christopherson and Andy Kendi as well. Big announcement over in Iowa today. Not in Iowa City. They had an announcement yesterday. Cade McNamara is out. So now they're going to have a 260-pound quarterback. They have a tank.
Yeah.
The Deke.
Brian Ferentz.
Quarterback power.
Does that help Brian Ferentz?
Oh, does it give him a pass?
Yeah, does it give him a pass?
Shouldn't.
But they got a big announcement in Iowa today that I'm geekish about. I'll explain because it ties into Nebraska. We'll do all that coming up in the next hours. We roll till 10 on Showtime. It is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 Zone.
Hey, DJ's Dugout, best place to watch all of the football action. We're talking about NFL, college football, Thursday night football, Bears watching. Okay, anyway, but get ready for some good games on Friday night, including Nebraska, Illinois, right? Nebraska, Illinois, but great place to watch the game is DJ's Dugout with 7 metro area locations. Also, perfect place to spend all day on Sundays watching all the NFL, whether your team is playing, you're a fantasy football owner. It is second to none with the great media walls, with daily food and drink specials, and the casual, comfortable atmosphere at DJ's Dugout. Let's watch the game at DJ's, Omaha's hometown iconic sports bar for 30 years. Locally and Vietnam veteran-owned. Dig in at the Dugout.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone.
Terrors of the night stalk among the trees. In the distance, fear awaits. A shriek, laughter, Then, silence. It's the season of darkness at the Ranch of Terror and Haunted Hayride. Spend an hour with nothing to protect you but your own screams. Bring your group and witness unspeakable horrors that test every fiber of your nerves. Hayride and House Combo $30 or $19 separately. The Ranch of Terror and Haunted Hayride. BellevueBerryFarm.com.
Fear has a name. For 30 years, Scary Acres has been doing what they do best. Scaring the out of you. The Master's Castle, House on the Hill, and the Haunted Woods. Scary Acres, the ultimate haunted attractions. 172nd and Giles. Sponsored in part by Raising Cane, Stereo West, and Ivy.
Hey everyone, Josh and John here for the FanDuel Sportsbook, where new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. John, that means $200 in bonus bets. Win or lose, it will be week 5 this upcoming weekend. Look, I'm looking at both of our teams' games. Obviously, my Cowboys going to Frisco to take on the 49ers. John will be rooting for your Rams on the money line versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Help out my Cowboys in the NFC East.
I'm not here to help your Cowboys, but I am here to help all of you get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place that first $5 bet. That's new customers to FanDuel. And don't forget, with those player props, over-unders, and so many prop bets, there's many more ways than just betting the game. That's with FanDuel.com/1620. 21 plus in present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
It's the Genesis Health Club's anniversary celebration sale. We're celebrating 37 years of fitness by you joining for just 37 cents and get the rest of the year for free. Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen with Genesis Health Clubs, and we're celebrating our 37th anniversary. Every day, Genesis members celebrate their health and fitness by feeling great and loving life. The better your health is, the more you enjoy each and every day. Regular exercise is the #1 ingredient to a healthy and more prosperous life. Join Genesis Health Clubs today for our 37th anniversary and join for just 37 cents and get the rest of the year for free. With a 37-cent enrollment fee and a savings to make the rest of the year for free, it's easy to get going and start celebrating today. Join today at GenesisHealthClubs.com. This time next year could be your 1-year anniversary of a happier, healthier, more confident, and more energetic version of yourself. Genesis Health Club will help you every step of the way. Join Genesis today for just 37 cents and get the rest of the year for free. Now that's something to celebrate.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Nos vamos a divertir mucho.
And that means we're going to have a lot of fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
By the way, good to have Jokic back. They had media day in the NBA, across the NBA yesterday. Somehow a guy that scored 13 points a game for the Lakers is celebrated in Austin Reeves that he's posing with LeBron and AD. But, you know, the bar in Los Angeles is pretty low, I guess. Maybe we should bring back Dwight Howard.
AD's the face of the franchise.
But the Nuggets yesterday,
what he says.
Their media day. So Jokic sat up at the podium with Jamal Murray and answered questions. A couple of the Nuggets players went to Boulder to watch Colorado and USC. A reporter asked Jokic if he knew Deion Sanders. And he said, no.
Who is this prime?
Yep.
And then the same reporter said, did you enjoy your offseason? And he said, no, because it was 2.5 because he said, we played basketball 2.5 months longer. No.
Dude wants a vacation.
We need more honesty like the Joker.
He was, everybody's excited in Denver. Like, hey, Jokic, what do you think of Dion? No.
Just
because he's not on social media. He had no idea.
Yeah.
Probably didn't pay any attention whatsoever.
I love that. I love that about him.
I coming, not him.
Like, why are we talking college football? He's this game.
Or he starts breaking down the conference.
Who's Michael
alignment.
Irvin?
He just said, but the female reporter, like, she was all excited.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, did you have a great off season? No. No. We played too long.
Legs tired.
It was boring. we played. He did this. He did it like he was like, we played 2.5 months longer than normal. I'm like,
dude, that's a good thing.
You might be the world's best player on the world champions, and you're like, just got here, time to go home.
And you are as honest as they come, which
And Tim Duncan
I
gets
love
crap.
that about him.
At least Tim could crack a joke.
I love that he's super honest.
No,
Can we get into emo Jimmy at all? Too?
I like no.
Oh, you're talking about
that
Butler. I thought you were
wasn't
talking about
Jimmy.
me.
Jared Leto.
Okay, everybody's doing like the deep fake stuff. When I first saw that, I'm like, that's not real.
No, it's real.
Oh, it's
real
real
because he does it. That's his media day thing.
He does it like a different. He had the dreads last year.
Yeah,
and that thing. I mean, it was flowing too.
Now, the one thing I do believe, he said he has enough music for 2 country albums. He's a big country person, like on Sirius Satellite on the Highway Channel. They will have on the weekends like celebrity DJs, and so I've heard Jimmy Butler on there before.
Wow.
So if I go to Spotify, can I get the Jimmy Butler country list?
Do you know Matt Rule did back in August did an hour on Sirius with country music?
Really?
No.
Yeah.
I know he likes his country music.
No, Jimmy Butler is a
that.
huge country music fan. Like knows his stuff.
Yeah.
So when he said yesterday that he's got music for 2 albums, I was like, he probably does. Probably does.
Then why'd he go emo? Does he come in with the cowboy hat?
That's just his thing.
He's versatile.
It was amazing.
That's and the Heat had no idea that's what he was showing up as. So
I love what he just said.
But you know what he's
your
doing?
laughs in.
You know what he's doing? Those are the pictures that are shared all season. Like that's media day. So everything on all of their game day presentation video, that's what he'll look
when
like.
they show the headshot at other arenas. It's that.
So it's purposeful.
I love it. It's great.
All right, Brian Barnhart coming up at the bottom of this hour, the voice of the Fighting Illini, who are in the same boat as Nebraska for a very interesting game on Friday night in Champaign, where Nebraska's lost 3 in a row to Illinois. Haven't won there since 19.
Remember that game?
That was
Adrian and Wandale.
Yeah, and now one's in the NFL, and the other is an offensive coordinator of an 8th grade football team.
Want to know though? Very important.
And an employee of the Zone, apparently.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Woodhouse Mazda has the all-new 2024 Mazda CX-5, and there's a reason I made the switch over to Mazda, and that was because of that vehicle right there. The Mazda CX-5 and the 2024 edition is even better. Things I love about this car, why I continue to upgrade with the Mazda CX-5, and why you will like it, well, safety features, the look of it, and with the new look they have going on, the new sharp-looking grille, you've got the black rims on them as well. It is a very, very good-looking vehicle. Also, CX-5 provides the perfect amount of space with every passenger having plenty of room. You got the large infotainment screen and entertainment features make every trip enjoyable. Shop Woodhouse Mazda in Bellevue or Woodhouse Place Mazda on 144th and Giles. You'll get a streamlined sales process that will not only save you time, it's got its convenience, that you can even do all of that from the comfort of your home, even have your car delivered to you, and it's the most friendly and knowledgeable sales staff around. Shop inventory, schedule test drives, and even get your deal started at WoodhouseMazda.com or WoodhousePlaceMazda.com. Drive what I drive and get into a Mazda CX-5 today, starting MSRP at $30,439. Woodhouse Mazda, a drive worth experiencing.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a significant delay from 156 to 138th on Industrial Road. Then on Dodge, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown from 80th to 72nd. And on L, be prepared for a significant slowdown from 53rd to 39th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott.
Planning something fun for your office, family, or friends? Joe's Karting is for you. Take a break. Come to Joe's to race, relax, and recharge. Great for team building. Ditch the speaker and burn some rubber. Trust us, Joe says you'll leave motivated. Joe's Karting race packages range from providing simple stress relief races to the real deal race experience. Check us out at joeskarting.com. Remember, go to Joe's, your place to race.
No matter how dark it gets, there's always a sunrise, a warm bed, a warm meal, and hope. Sienna Francis House serves hope to those experiencing homelessness and addiction. Every day, we provide more than 1,000 meals and serve nearly 500 guests in our emergency shelter, Miracles Recovery Program, and supportive housing apartments, and help our guests navigate a path to permanent housing. Learn more at siennafrancis.org.
Hi, everybody. Kent Pavelka here to talk about your local concrete experts at Everlevel Concrete Repair. Now, if you have cracked or uneven concrete, Everlevel can do it all with their complete repair solutions. They fix cracks, lift sunken slabs, and protect the surface, all at a fraction of the price compared to replacement. And better yet, they offer long-term transferable warranties. I'm so glad I chose Everlevel for my driveway. Give them a call for your free inspection. That's Everlevel, Everlevel, Everlevel. Try saying that 3 times fast.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Let's watch the game at DJ's. Nick Handley here for my friends at DJ's Dugout. Football is in full swing. College football, pro football. Watch your favorite team at DJ's. Great food, great drinks, great service. Plus, DJ's casual, comfortable atmosphere and huge TV walls are an Omaha tradition. Let's watch the game at DJ's, Omaha's hometown iconic sports bar for 30 years. Locally and Vietnam veteran-owned with 7 metro area locations. Dig in at the Dugout.
Did you know that radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer for non-smokers and that our region has some of the highest levels in the country? Radon Defense Midwest can test and fix your home. Visit radonradio.com for an exclusive offer for 1620 The Zone listeners. That's radonradio.com.
This hour is powered by Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair, Nebraska on 1620 The Zone. Let it fly. Your elevated sports bar experience. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Halftime brought to you by Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off 680 and 48th Street next to Cubby's. It's Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge.
All right, 8-11 on a Tuesday, the 3rd of October, Major League Baseball playoffs. Wild card underway today, 4 games.
Only version there is.
Fallout Boy, not going to do it.
More like just ball.
Yes. Over in Iowa today, so the governor, Kim Reynolds, is going to announce a big sporting event. I don't know if you guys have driven on 80 towards Iowa City. Right there on the right side of the road when you get to Newton is the Iowa Speedway.
Yeah.
So I went there this year to an IndyCar weekend. I was hooked. Not only was Caitlin Clark there, and yes, I did stand in line.
I remember you saying that.
Tried to get her to sign a picture of her and say, "Go Huskers," and she said, "Not a chance."
Sign a picture of her at Pinnacle Bank Arena.
But I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I mean, I've been to NASCAR races before. I've been to Indianapolis 500, but I've never been to an Indy car outside of Indianapolis. And so I went over to the Speedway, and I was like, this is really, really cool. It's not very big. It's about 30,000 So it's not a mammoth speedway. You can see all the turns. We had really, really good seats. But I think even bigger than the Field of Dreams games, what they're going to announce in Newton today is even bigger. They're going to have in 2024 a NASCAR race.
Nice.
So they will have a cup stop in Newton, which Rusty Wallace owns the track. So he's been trying for as long as that track has been open. I think it's greater than the Field of Dreams, the 2 Field of Dreams games that they've hosted. They're going to have a NASCAR stop.
Yeah.
And remember, like back in the day, this is probably, I don't know, about 10 years ago, instead of building the Iowa Speedway in Newton, there was a lot of talk at Ashland Greenwood, that exit of building a speedway that could host Indy and NASCAR and things like that. So it didn't happen here. Remember, they're also going to build an airport, I think, there. Wasn't Chip Davis going to build an amphitheater, an airport, and a racetrack? All right there.
Well, at one point, they're going to flood Ashland and build it and have a huge lake, too. So, yeah.
Well, that's still on the docket. I've seen plans there. That's closer to us.
Just leave the golf courses alone.
So it's the biggest sporting event that's going to happen in the state of Iowa. Is the biggest sporting event that's happened in Nebraska, is it always the College World Series? Or is it, and I bring this up because I saw Chattel is writing about the 20th, the building downtown.
Put Kansas and Duke in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Elite Eight, in particular, one game. I mean, we had the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight being the KU Duke game that went to overtime. Is that the biggest sporting event? Take the College World Series aside, because we get that every year. The biggest sporting event in Nebraska.
As someone new to here compared to you two, I will just weigh in and say yes.
From a national standpoint, I mean, I think what they just pulled off in August, on August 30th, with the outdoor volleyball game is going to be very much high up there. The rarity of that, the overall support.
Wait, you mean Omaha or Nebraska?
We'll do Omaha.
Okay,
stick to Omaha.
Okay, in Omaha, then yeah, I think that would be fair. And see, even for the College World Series, having grown up, gone to it, seen it go from one venue to the other,
you hate it.
I take it for granted. No, I think I take it for granted. I wouldn't say I hate it, but you take it for granted.
Now that you've worked it,
yes. Oh, I mean, that's the other.
That thing is miserable.
That's the other thing when you work it, and days run into each other where you have no idea what day it is. But
thank God Livy showed up this year, and fake Ed Orgeron was banging some chick outside of
some topless
gal
gal
in the morning.
He was doing a little motorboating, and there were some things that recharged the battery there, I guess. But I mean, I think for anybody who experiences the College World Series for the first time, it's quite the scene. It's something that is probably going to stay with you from your sports memories. But for having the unique opportunity to host a Sweet 16 and then Elite 8, and then to get lucky to where you have two iconic basketball brands playing in a game that lived up to the billing, it's hard to top that. It really is.
I think the only thing you could top it is like if the Big Ten men's basketball tournament was in Omaha.
Yeah.
There was at one time we were close to getting the Big 12 men's basketball tournament here. Really, really close. And then a couple of entities all couldn't line up at the same time. So I think that would be the only thing. I'm actually looking. So if I'm reading some of the stuff that's coming out of Des Moines, it looks like it's the same weekend as the opening. It's like Father's Day weekend in June.
Oh, so
I would love to go. Man, I got hooked last year going to the IndyCar racing weekend. And I mean, I don't know as many IndyCar drivers as like NASCAR, but I don't know, man. I'm thinking about going. That is huge for race fans around here. I know we go to Kansas. We go to the Kansas Speedway, and they get 2 cup races. But man, this is a 30,000 seat venue in the middle of nowhere in Newton, Iowa.
Is our boy Chris going to be out there?
I don't know. He only sticks to Knoxville.
Figured he'd
and they take it's like what do they have on one of the walls on the back stretch, like the fastest quarter mile. And
this is what I feel confident in knowing in our friends across the river is when you have that opportunity to host an event like that, you will do it first rate.
Hey, there's a competition between Des Moines and Omaha, and we forgot about one of the biggest ones, which might trump everything. Matt, good morning.
Hey, good morning. I wasn't there, so I wouldn't know the exact height of it. What about the Olympic swim trials? Michael Phelps was in town.
Yeah, when Phelps was here, you're absolutely right.
We're bitter about that. They left though. We're bitter about that. So we don't count that.
Yeah,
anymore.
when Michael Phelps, thank you.
I'll hang up. And
When
listen.
Michael Phelps was at the height,
yeah,
having the swim trials here, because it wasn't just Michael Phelps, it was men and women who are some of the most recognizable in that sport.
Like Ledecky.
Good call. Good call.
That is a good call. And in fact, and again, with the sort of an awe factor compared to, watching as we were bringing up Duke and Kansas in that Elite Eight final. And, you saw Grayson Allen was in that game. I mean, you remember
Marvin Bagley was in that game.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, people remember the game. They remember, again, that was a college basketball, heaven right there as far as the two teams that were playing and the way that it did play out. But the awe factor, I'm sorry. And I was probably in the upper bowl, but kind of close enough when the swim trials were here and seeing Michael Phelps, just watching him warm up. You couldn't take your eyes off because you're just this guy is one of the best, most accomplished athletes that we've ever seen, and he's right here in Omaha.
What made it a bigger deal? Bob Costas was here for the swim trials.
With his flip phone.
Jim Nance was here for the Elite Eight. Well, he's here for the Sweet 16, but we're all focused on the
See,
Elite
I'm more
Eight
of a Jim Nance fan, so I'm going to say Jim Nance.
All right.
But I did, we found out that Bob Costas, the first year that he was here, still uses a flip phone. Or at least at that time he did. So that was something.
They still exist, kind of.
Yeah, the Razors are
now they're
popular.
back, yeah.
No?
Now they're back. But yeah, I'm more of a Jim Nance guy. So I just everything about that was really cool. Remember, because you had Syracuse in there as well. So it was Syracuse and Clemson. Thank you. And then you had Duke and Kansas.
Boeheim was a jerk. I remember when he was here for their open, he was just a jerk.
Boeheim's just a jerk, period.
Like Coach K was very open. And Bill Self was hey, yeah. Plus, remember all the locker rooms are always open.
Yep.
That was weird. For an hour, you just hang out in the
Walk
locker
in
rooms.
there. Hey, what's up?
Yeah,
What's
Bill
on,
Self
guys?
and Coach K were great.
Well, Bill Self used to be in Omaha. They played what?
They'll be here again this spring.
That would have been their fourth trip back to the CHI
You're
Health
calling
Center.
your shot as the national champions this season in college basketball. Their road, which normally
Would
happens,
start in Omaha.
begins in Omaha because we're hosting first and second round this year.
I'm almost certain they'll be in Omaha.
Hunter Dickinson, come on down.
Yeah. They should be in Omaha. I would feel pretty confident
They
about
will
that.
be in Omaha.
So, by the way, are we back in any time soon of getting the regional finals?
They should. It's a great place to have it. I thought that when they got it.
I don't know. I wonder now that Kevin Sarver doesn't work at Creighton, who's going to run it?
That's true.
Sarver's he's the master of running that event.
That between him and Rob Anderson and the lack of sleep that those two gentlemen had to have gotten, but
Rob
good of a job they've done.
So Rob is away because Creighton are playing somewhere else.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're
So
contenders now.
first and second round is back this year.
Yep.
And Jimmy's already called. KU will be playing here.
That's the easiest prediction I'll make.
Who are they going to be playing?
Give me a 16
North
seed now.
Carolina A&T.
Yeah, that's without even knowing the roster. You're probably right.
Maybe Illinois will be here. Their head football coach is going to join us.
The head football coach?
Oh, okay. So Tom writes in. He said recency bias. Frazier Standard Heavyweight Championship, which I do not recall.
I don't either.
I do know that it did occur.
I mean,
wasn't part of it.
That's pretty good though.
Jacob says KU starting in Omaha and practicing at Central, just like old times. KU is back.
Doesn't KU, anytime they start in Omaha, and then even in the 88 national championship, they started in Lincoln. Typically, when they start in the state of Nebraska, other than the Wichita State upset, I think they have at least made the Final Four. I might be wrong on that, but I feel like they've made it pretty far.
Duke did beat KU, though. It looks like Cooper Flagg, the number one player in the country, has canceled his visit to Lawrence, and he is Durham bound.
Yep. Duke's still getting dudes.
UConn or Duke? I think it's Duke.
To win it all? Oh,
for
Flag.
him.
Oh, for Flag, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I would say Duke. The KU cancellation. That's a little bit of a blow. But okay, and I know this isn't a thing, and maybe Jimmy would know this better. Is KU? Is there
good?
any?
Yes.
No. Is there any lingering effect of? I don't feel like there is. I feel like it's just completely forgotten. But the ongoing appeal of the level one allegations.
Cleveland State's going to really get it on that one.
That's not affecting recruiting. I wouldn't think.
No, because you can pay players now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if there was a postseason ban, especially if you're going after guys that could be one and dones, Obviously, if you're not going to be playing in the tournament, then they don't want to be there. But I feel like that is past Kansas without having any real resolution. I feel like they're like, if they didn't do anything now, they're never going to. I don't know. It hasn't been a thing anymore.
They'll still be talking about that in 50 years.
Well, it just hasn't been a thing anymore. And I thought that was supposed to be resolved like last May. But no, nothing.
Yeah, they've been saying that since I was there.
Okay.
Star Wars Fiend, what about the exciting curling trials?
It
was
I
good.
went.
It was good the first year. Second year, it was friends and family and empty seats.
Yeah, and I went the first year, and I just thought it was unique. I wouldn't say like it was amazing, but it was unique. It was something that, especially with they kind of explained the rules of curling, and you had like different little educational areas in Baxter.
Somebody called in and said, "What about volleyball Final Four?"
That was a good one.
Yeah,
especially when Nebraska beat Texas.
There've been numerous of them.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that.
Pick your favorite.
That Sunday afternoon in the Elite Eight between Duke and KU.
Yep,
one of the best basketball games I've ever seen in person, and just because it was Duke and KU.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Brian Barnhart, voice of the Fighting Illini. He's still to come in this hour. Brian Christopherson, Andy Kendi as well on a Tuesday edition of Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Hey, snap in action this NFL season with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose.
If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. Hell, even I can use it. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads. And if you're looking at Nebraska, Illinois right now, we're sitting at 3.5 is what Illinois is laying with a 43.5 over-under. You can do player props, those over-unders, and so much more. Visit FanDuel.com, use the promo code ZONE, and kick off the NFL season. Again, that is FanDuel.com/zone. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone. And 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. The Connor Happer Show.
So let me tell you a couple of the things that happened to Memorial Stadium as they were building it. Rain plagued the project. At one point, there were 6 feet of water inside the stadium. 2 months before the stadium was set to open, a tornado destroyed some of the wooden forms used to pour sections of the concrete stands.
Material was picked up and moved, and in some places, the wind dipped down below the surface of the ground and picked up heavy material and tossed it about like eggshells.
I like when they compare stuff to stuff.
The Connor Happer Show, weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Your Tuesday morning forecast will include partly cloudy to mostly cloudy conditions, remaining mild throughout the morning and early afternoon. Spotty showers possible as we progress throughout the late afternoon and early evening. Afternoon highs topping in the upper 70s and lower 80s. More chances of strong to severe storms west of the metro for later on this evening into the overnight. I'm meteorologist Anthony Copeland for KETV News Watch 7.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees. The Source. By your mom's house.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have one accident to report at 144th and Giles, so please be cautious if you're in that area. Then eastbound along I-80, be prepared for some significant slowdowns near the ramp from I-80 West. And then westbound along I-80, be prepared for things to start slowing down near 84th Street. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $951 million, which has helped to provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery, helping to build a better Nebraska.
Good boy. At Cox, we think all customers deserve a reliable connection. So whether you're a loyal customer who's been with us for years, or you're new to the family like this little guy, you'll get the same great deals on the same great internet. And no matter who you are. See how you can save at Cox.com/deals for all. Other restrictions apply. All rights reserved.
Follow your imagination to the Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch. Bring the whole gang and explore for treasure on the pirate shipwreck. See how the West was fun. Pretend you're a superhero as you jump on giant bounce pads. Maybe reserve your own campfire rental where you can roast marshmallows and tell stories. It's all up to you. And of course, go on a hayride and grab your own pumpkin. Priced by the size, not the pound. Follow your imagination at the Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch. 48th between Cornhusker and Highway 370. More info at BellevueBerryFarm.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You know, if we know anything, it's that local matters. Local shops, local restaurants, even locally brewed beers. October is Drink Local Month. So the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild is challenging beer, seltzer, and cider drinkers like you to put your palate through its paces and drink local brews. Because seriously, Nebraska is really on the cutting edge when it comes to brewers who think outside the box. And besides, you really want to be drinking what they drink over in Iowa? Didn't think so. Click Nebraska.beer to find brews near you.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is always looking to make your game day bigger and better. Cheer on your favorite team this season in front of a 22-foot LED video wall showing up to 8 games at once. TVs are everywhere else you can look with a state-of-the-art audio and video system. Enjoy a big old pizza or award-winning char-buffed wings. There's just no better way to do your game day. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road. And for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Listen to 1620 The Zone, weekdays for the Big Red Practice Report, presented by Tickets for Less. Visit ticketsforless.com and use promo code The Zone to score incredible savings for your favorite team. It's the Big Red Practice Report, brought to you by Tickets for Less.
Howdy, Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Nebraska Outdoor Update. Say it's the time of year to catch big fish in Nebraska. Zzz, blip, and go visit a state parkland. This time of year, larger game fish are putting on the fat reserves for the upcoming cold weather season and are more apt to be caught. And Nebraska's 76 area state parklands, the grounds to those remain open for all kinds of outdoor recreation, including camping. So come see us. That's it. I'm Greg Wagner with Nebraska Game and Parks.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, Nebraska and Illinois in Champaign coming up on Friday night at 7 o'clock. 2 teams that right now what ails them looks very, very similar. One of the good guys in the business, one of the great voices, is the voice of the Fighting Illini. For what are we going on now? About 2 decades? Brian Barnhart joins us.
Yeah, 22 years now.
Wow. Hey, before we talk football, how's the farm?
How's the farm?
Yes.
Well, it's doing great. Yeah, the yields were pretty good. Hopped on the combine down. I didn't drive it, but I was in it last week. And I think it was about 200, and I think it was averaging about 240 bushels to the acre. So that was pretty good. We didn't have a lot of rain this summer, so they were kind of worried about that.
That is fantastic. And if anybody that listens to Fighting Illini broadcast, either football or men's basketball, you have a great relationship with the people that live around the Champaign, Urbana area that is a lot of rural area. And so I appreciate when you talk to those people and they are just all fired up that, man, we got a guy, our voice of the Fighting Illini is somebody that knows what we're going through. We're doing harvest season right now. Mm-hmm. So kudos to you.
That's right. No, you're right. It's we get a lot of listeners, in the combines during the course of the fall. I hear from a lot of them. And it's pretty cool because it's a pretty busy time of the year around here, as you guys know. So, it's been fun. It's been fun to have that connection with them for sure.
Brian, this game, if you go back to the start of the season, you're looking at a quick turnaround coming off of a Purdue game into Nebraska. obviously the way this team is entering the game is probably not what many anticipated. And when you kind of look at this squad as it enters Nebraska game Friday night, what area maybe surprised you the most? Probably, I guess the better question is what area that has probably been the most disappointing right now?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think the biggest surprise or big and slash disappointment has been the offensive line. We just haven't been able to get that figured out yet. And, a couple of weeks into the season, Brett Bielema and his staff, they kind of flipped things around. They had a really good left guard in Isaiah Adams, and he's a big young man from Canada who came here via junior college. And he's a very good guard, but they needed some help at right tackle. So they moved him out there. And of course, for 5 years, we had Alex Pelcheski out there, and he was just really solid. So we're trying to get that figured out. He's learning on the job really out there. And they flipped Josh Geske from one side of the line to the other at a guard spot. And they've got a new center this year in Josh Kreutz, who's going to be a really good center. That's Olin Kreutz's son. But this is his first year on the job. So it's been a bigger struggle than I think people anticipated. And for that reason, then, Luke Altmaier, who's having a decent year at quarterback. He's got a really good arm, and he's got some decent numbers. He's thrown over 1,000 yards, I think. But he just doesn't have any time to throw, for one thing. And then our running game, and obviously Chase Brown is no longer with us. He's in the NFL with the Bengals, but our just running game hasn't been able to get any kind of rhythm. So the offense, and I know Nebraska fans have experienced some of this too, in some of the games, the offense has been spotty. And then the defense has been on the field more. I think we were 2 of 14 the other day on third down conversions and eventually just wear down. Penn State scored a couple of touchdowns late that made that game a little more lopsided. And Purdue had a 21-point third quarter, and that was the ball game. So I would say the offensive line has been the big story. Everybody's trying to figure that out. We've had more big plays when he's had time. We've had more 40-plus yard plays this year than we had at any time last year, I think. Tommy DeVito was really, really accurate, but he threw a lot of short passes too, and his timing was great. And Luke has been able to, in situations where he has been under pressure, he's run the ball really well. He's got, I think, 3 rushing touchdowns, including a 72-yarder out at Kansas. So he's been, I think, about what we expected. We saw him in the spring game, and he looked really, really good. And I think it was his job to lose this fall. And but if you think about it, he hasn't really started that many games. Maybe it's up to 7 or 8 now in his college career because he, didn't play a whole lot at Ole Miss, and so he's fairly inexperienced too in that regard. But when he's on, his arm he can really stretch it out, and he's pretty mobile too.
Yeah, and Brian, one of the guys obviously that is involved in that offense that he gets to is Isaiah Williams. And I think a lot of us remember in 2020 when he was getting some starts at quarterback and then he makes the transition over to wide receiver. So you kind of see him turn in over the last couple of years into a wide receiver. Where's he kind of at in that process? And is he a little bit more of a little bit more of a complete wide receiver than what you saw here even a year or two ago?
Oh yeah. He's come a long way, and he'll tell you that. I mean, he was a quarterback. He was a 5-star quarterback coming out of high school, and it just didn't pan out for him. And so he switched to receiver, and he's just every year gotten better and better and better, and runs better routes. And he's got pretty good hands, and of course his speed is spectacular. So, I mean, I think he's leading the Big Ten going into this week in number of catches and yards. And they try to get him the ball every way they can, but obviously other teams know that too. So they're going to try to, take him away, and we've got to give Altmaier some time on the floor developing plays because they will use Isaiah in a jet sweep. They'll do slant passes to him, but when Altmaier doesn't have time for the longer routes, then our offense just doesn't do much. I think we're averaging about 21 points a game.
Brian Barnhart, voice of the Fighting Illini. So Ryan Walters is getting his mail in West Lafayette. Evan Witherspoon is returning interceptions on national TV last night. Still have one of the best defensive tackles in all of college football. The rest of this defense, how has the transition been from where they were last year, where they were really, really good, to where they are this year?
Yeah, well, that's another good question because they only gave up like 12 points a game last year. I think they gave up 9 in Lincoln last year to the Cornhuskers. So, yeah, we knew it wasn't going to be that good because Witherspoon, as you saw last night, how good he is, and Quan Martin was back there. He's in the NFL, and Sidney Brown is in the NFL, and there was another young man, Kendall Smith, who was a backup as well, who's in the NFL. So they had 4 guys they lost. So you knew it wasn't going to be 12 points a game again, but it can't be 30.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just too many. Now, Kansas, Jalen Daniels is spectacular. And, we had trouble containing him and the Jayhawks offensively out there in Lawrence. So that skews your numbers a little bit. And, they're probably not playing as much man as they did with Ryan Walters and those 3 or 4 NFL guys. They could do a lot of that. So it's been a little bit of mixture of both, I think. And Aaron Henry's first year on the job as the defensive coordinator. Actually, the secondary's been pretty good. They've had some. Xavier Scott has stepped in. Miles Scott, who was a former receiver, walk-on receiver, has become a really good corner. Zachary Toby is a freshman they really like. That actually has been better than people thought. It was the offensive line that everybody thought would be good that has struggled. So it's been interesting that way in how that's worked out so far.
I know Reggie Love, his availability was didn't have him last week, and just as far as what is kind of going on there, and just the running game in itself, where's Illinois kind of going into that Friday night matchup, just from an injury standpoint, especially on the offensive side?
Yeah, we'll know more about Reggie in the next day or two. He had an ankle injury he suffered a couple of games ago, and he tried to make a go of it, or he thought about going on Saturday, and he just couldn't. So hopefully he'll be back, but. Yeah, Reggie was a solid number 2 back behind Chase Brown last year. Mm-hmm. Still kind of needing to become a lead back, and we'll see if he can get there. He's a great young man from St. Louis, and he works really hard. The kid that's intriguing is Caden Fagan. He's from a little school. It's called Arthur Lovington Atwood Hammond, 4 little towns that's south of Champaign. And he is 6'3" and 250.
Oh, jeez.
And he is, as a freshman, and he is a bowling ball. I mean, and he's fast. And he had 85 yards the other day. And some of it was in the fourth quarter when the game had been decided, but he had a big 20-yard run to set up our field goal right at the end of the half. And they're trying to work him in more and more because he gets up ahead of steam. He's a great athlete. He's that big, but it's all muscle and strength. And he's a load. So there are a lot of fans, and I know I'd like to see more of him just myself because he's a local kid, but he's a handful. And then they've got a young man, Aiden Lawfrey, from another little town north of Champaign, Gibson City, that is kind of a speed merchant. So I think they're trying to work those younger guys in where they can and kind of do it by committee. But I know a lot of fans would like to see more of Fagan because he's been pretty impressive when he's been in there.
Hey, big picture, Brian, it's a fairly easy drive for Nebraska fans. And I mean, playing on Friday nights, but Nebraska fans will come over there. And I know that, once the start of the Big Ten going over to Champaign and now where they are now, definitely the facilities have changed and you can see an investment in football. Big picture here. What's the general vibe about Illinois football with Coach Biela moving forward as the Big Ten expands into this new age of where you're bringing in 4 teams from the West Coast? Where does Illinois fit?
Yeah, that's it's interesting because I think we got the right guy, Brett Bielema. He knows how to coach. I mean, he knows what he's doing. We've had some coaches over the years that have been really good recruiters, other more better maybe X and O's, but not great recruiters necessarily. This guy has the complete package. I mean, you can see why he won so many games at Wisconsin. And won a lot of games at Arkansas too. And so we got the right guy in place. Some disappointment to the start of this season after what happened last year because they won 8 games and maybe should have won, 10 or 11 last year. And so I think people are a little disappointed at the start of this year. But yeah, with the expansion coming in, I think what is fearful is that with the divisions going away, we assume. And I don't know how Nebraska folks feel, but you're bringing in Oregon and Washington and UCLA and USC. Those are all really powerhouse teams. The goal in recent years as to if you can win the West, you got a shot at the Big Ten title. Mm-hmm. But of course, the East teams have dominated in that championship game, and so where do we go from here? What about the transfer portal? Can you compete with those West Coast teams, what the schedule is going to look like. There's a little bit of angst, I think, about, competing against the Iowas and Nebraskas and Minnesotas and other teams in the West, where you feel like you're on the same playing field, or maybe slightly better or slightly worse, to having to take it up to a whole different level. And I think teams like right now Illinois and Minnesota and some others that are in that level, I think there's some concern as to what it's going to look like when these new teams come in.
Brian, get back to just Brett Bielema and recruiting. And I know when Lovie Smith was there was a major challenge of getting athletes from the state of Illinois on that roster. And I don't know if it was necessarily lack of effort or they just weren't able to really close that. But what has kind of been the difference that you've seen between the way Brett Bielema and his staff has gone about it compared to Lovie Smith and really being able to tap into a lot of those in-state products?
Yeah, we were definitely, I do a score sheet every week, my board that I use for the broadcast. And for a lot of years, there weren't very many Illinois kids on there. There were a few on the offensive line, but that was about it. And what was happening was a lot of the really good players from the Catholic League, especially in the suburbs of Chicago, were all going to Iowa or to Minnesota or to Wisconsin or wherever, and they were not even really looking at Illinois. And Brett Bielema, the day he got hired back in late 2020, the first call he made was to the Illinois Coaches Association, the High School Coaches Association, and said, I'm going to send somebody to every school, whether it's Little Gibson City or Arthur Lovington or whatever, as well as the suburbs. And even if you don't have a player, we're going to make contact with you and build that relationship. And now when you look at it, I think of the 120, if you count everybody, walk-ons and everybody that's on the team, right at half of the team is from Illinois. So he's made a big emphasis on that. And I think he's starting to make some headway. There's a young man from Chicago, Simeon, Malik Elzy, as a receiver. He was a very highly recruited player out of Chicago. There's a lot of kids on the roster now, more so from the suburbs. And as I fill out my sheet, I'm like, there's another one from Illinois. There's another one. And so he's definitely made a difference, and the high school coaches love him. Yeah. And I happen to MC and have for a lot of years the High School Hall of Fame coaches event they do every year where they induct high school coaches into the Hall of Fame. And they just rave about Brett and his staff. So they have made a definite positive move in that direction. Even hired one of the great coaches in Illinois who won a lot of games up in Metamora as his high school liaison, basically, where they can directly contact him and connect with the football office that way. And we had never had that.
Yeah. And then he made a really poor hire. I say it tongue in cheek because he's a friend, Pat Pearson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, he's doing a great job. And yeah.
Hey, Brian, we appreciate it. Great work. I always enjoy listening to you on Saturdays, and have a good call on Friday night.
Hey, very good. Thank you. We'll look forward to it.
So Pat Pearson, longtime friend of yours truly, we were together at FGCU. He was a sports information guy. He went to Oregon and ran communications for Oregon football under Mario Cristobal. And then he knew Bielema because of their time at Arkansas, but he's always been a basketball guy. And they got hired at Illinois. And so he is the right-hand man. And so he has some stories to tell about old Bert.
Well, Bert, remember, that was your end to get Bert on during Big Ten Media Days too. And Bert considered it, but
I had, hey, Coach Bielema.
Your name dropped.
I said, Pat Pearson and we're buddies. I just couldn't go to his wedding. He just got back from his wedding. Goes, oh yeah, he did. Because you'd think you were like a fraud. And then I said, you got two guys from Nebraska that you've recruited. Your offensive line coach is from Omaha. Come on, Omaha radio station.
Started looking at the fake watch.
Hey, you're 2-3. Okay, you could have been 4-1 if you would have come on 16.
Do you think that I was just going to ask? Do you think that is a big problem? That's where he kind of got off on a really bad start because he denied Omaha radio on Big Ten Media Days.
So, could we have a scenario where Illinois has more Nebraska kids than Nebraska has Illinois kids on their two deep? So the only guy on Nebraska's two deep that is from Illinois is Chief Borders, and he's from Chicago, and he's a portal guy.
Yeah, so it's not an original recruit.
Illinois, up until Pie From at Central, it had been ages since they had a scholarship guy from Nebraska, and now they've got two. This used to, if you look back in the 80s, think a little bit in the 90s. Nebraska used to be really aggressive in Chicago. I mean, from the Mike Murrays to the Nate Turners, and then Joe Gans was from Chicago. We all thought they went in there, got a steal with Mikhail Wilbon, got injured, didn't work out at Nebraska. And Nebraska essentially has punted Chicago because there are so many teams in Chicago.
Yeah.
But I never understood why Lovie Smith got sideways with the high school coaches in Illinois. He went to St. Louis. He hired a pretty good high school coach out of St. Louis to be on his staff, but he ignored the state. And it wasn't just Chicago. I mean, look at Brian just rattled off guys that are from rural Illinois that Bielema has brought in. I never got that thing with Lovie Smith, but I don't know if Nebraska will ever really get back into Chicago where, they make it like a priority because there are so many teams that are in Chicago now.
Yeah, there is. And, with the recruiting emphasis with Matt Rule, they want to really hit up Texas. And then even the last couple of years, there was always that effort of trying to tap back into the St. Louis market, but you just never really hear much about Illinois or Chicago. And I'm with you. Like, that was one of the craziest things with Lovie Smith. I remember, I think it was his second to last year. Yeah, for a guy that, as his time as a head coach for the Chicago Bears, the team in the state of Illinois, I just feel like that was a product of a former NFL guy, that there were just certain aspects of recruiting that either you didn't want to go fully in on, or you just didn't really know how to get across the finish line, because I don't think it was lack of effort of trying to at least get some of those guys on your roster, but the inability to close for a guy that I would think, as long as you go about it the right way, there'd be a lot of families that would love to send their kids to Lovie Smith. I think they had, if I remember, again, I think it was his second to last year. It was astonishing. They had one player on the roster, not even someone on a 2D, but on the roster from the state of Illinois. That is unbelievable.
And it may take some time, because I'm just looking at the top players in the state of Illinois. Justin Scott is a defensive lineman from St. Ignatius in Chicago. He's going to Ohio State. Wide receiver from Glenbard South, basically Glen Ellen, a suburb, going to Notre Dame. Clemson has gone in and gotten a tight end. The U has gotten an edge rusher. Georgia went in and got an offensive tackle. Wisconsin got a tight end. Purdue got Luke Williams from Naperville North, which is a good high school program. Even KU has gone into Chicago. Iowa has always been there. Michigan. Iowa's got 2 of the top 11 players in Wisconsin, or in Illinois, Wisconsin, Texas A&M. I mean, these are teams that are going outside of their footprint, and they're going into Chicago to grab a player.
Yeah.
The 16th best player in the state of Illinois has committed to the Illini, but the top 15 are not going there.
Yep.
I mean, so it's gonna take a little bit of time to reestablish that. I mean, they got Pi Fromm, who's from Central, that has committed, and then they've also Tanner Hollinger, who is from Cross County, who's a really good player, good tight end. I mean, a state that produces tight ends, playing 8-man football. He has committed there as well. But there's a lot of Florida, Arizona, Tennessee, Ohio. But you're sitting in Illinois. You got St. Louis right there. It's closer to Champaign.
Yep.
And then you got the Chicagoland area. You got rural area. Plus you've got Indianapolis, which isn't very far away. So you should be able to recruit your needs. And then if you need the extra burst of speed, you hit Florida or maybe Texas. He's familiar with Arkansas, Oklahoma, and all that.
Absolutely. And I think, the question you asked Brian too, and I wonder how far that will go in the efforts of trying to get a lot of that footprint, if you're Brett Bielema, is how does Illinois, much like Nebraska, how does Illinois transition into the new Big Ten, where a lot of those teams that are plucking some of your major talent out of that state, a lot of them either do or will reside in that new Big Ten. How are you competing against your peers from everything from facilities, but more importantly on the field as well? Where's your place in the Big Ten for Illinois? And I think that's going to be a big question and probably a big effort in getting those.
It might be more important at a place like Illinois and a place like Nebraska as well. Maybe not so much at Nebraska, even though you'll see where I'm going here, is you spend money on assistants to retain them.
Yeah.
Now, Ryan Walters was like the early favorite to be the head coach to go back into his alma mater, Colorado. He was a defensive back there. And I think he looked at the situation and said, you know what? I'm 37. I got a good gig being the DC here. Then the Purdue thing that surprised a lot of us. But I'm wondering if Illinois could have paid the freight to keep Ryan Walters. Because Here's the thing with a guy like Bielema. I think Bielema does a good job of assembling an original staff. But then that staff gets opportunities either go to be a DC somewhere or to be a head coach. And it's all about what you do after they leave.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's another part of like the Saban tree. Saban has a lot of guys that are off head coaching, but Saban's done a really good job of making initial hires, but then making the next hire.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of insane how well he's done.
They keep rolling along at Alabama. Now, maybe in the last couple of years, it started to catch up to him, just like it did with Hayden Fry.
Yep.
Hayden Fry had an amazing staff at Iowa. All those guys were so good, they went and got head coaching jobs, and he couldn't keep up the experience that they had or, just the talent that they had. I mean, a place like Illinois has got to worry about that. Is Ryan Walters, a young DC who, man, was a game changer. You're not able to retain him because he's going to take basically a parallel job
and
in your own conference. So that's the difference of like at an Illinois, what do you do with your staff to keep those guys here financially that it's more worthwhile to be the DC in the Big Ten in Champaign-Urbana than it is to be the head coach trying to pick up the pieces at a place like Purdue or go to a bottom of the ACC, one of those type of jobs.
Well, and there was that consistency when he's at Wisconsin, and I don't know this to be 100% true there towards the end, but for a while there, the continuity was definitely there on his staff. And I think that's a great question, though, of you have to basically find similar profiles of Ryan Walters where you've got sort of young and up-and-comers that are either going to be position coaches or you got guys that are ready to take over your defense or OC duties that you do have. Okay, you're going to lose one of those guys, but can you tap into another similar profile and you're going to get the same result? Because that's tough. The thing about Nick Saban is he's already getting proven guys. He's okay. You lose one of them, they get sort of retread back as a head coach somewhere. They might go to the NFL, but then you're either getting that reclamation project or someone that has the it factor, and he's been able to identify that. That's a gift that Nick Saban has. I don't want to say Brett Bielema doesn't have a gift as far as being a coach and retaining, but I think with that, especially being a place at Illinois compared to Alabama, obviously, much like going to Alabama as a player, you go to Alabama under Nick Saban, there is a path to much bigger things once you kind of pay your dues. At Illinois, they don't have that track record. With Brett Bielema, you don't necessarily have that track record quite yet. So I think if you're an Illinois fan, to hope that you can, I think I would say this, your better chances are Brett Bielema and University of Illinois being able to retain for years those guys as opposed to, having interchangeable parts and being able to plug and play, because I don't think that that's realistic for Illinois right now.
I'll tell you a place that, it applies. So, you could say coaches are only good as their staff. Well, there's some coaches that are better than their staff and they just keep hiring guys over and over. Yeah. Kirby Smart's in that role. So Kirby Smart has lost Mel Tucker. He's lost Sam Pittman. He's lost Shane Beamer. He's lost Dan Lanning. They haven't missed a beat. They need an OC. They go out and they pay a lot of money to get a guy out of the NFL. Look at Ohio State. Brian Hartline is a very, very popular name on the coaching circles. Yep. He's by far the best wide receiver coach in the country and a recruiter. They're going to make it. They're going to make it nice that he doesn't just leave Ohio State to go take a middling job where you cut your teeth. You have 4 bad years. You have 1 good year while you're on the hot seat, and then you get the heck out.
Yeah.
So it's, are coaches only as good as their staff? And then if they're not, are they the rare that are better than their staff and they just keep turning it over and over and over? And Kirby Smart is in one of those things right now. Because Mel Tucker had 1 good year, but still, Mel Tucker, that was a loss. He was a good defensive coach. But look at Pittman, Beamer, Lanning.
Yeah.
That was someone Kirby Smart's going up against Dan Lanning in a Georgia-Alabama game in 6 years.
See what you did there.
Could happen, though, too.
Yeah.
But, it's just that's the thing for when it comes to coaching. Like, I look at it from the standpoint of also when you're trying to replace guys, what type of connections, what type of inroads have you laid as a head coach? Like, what does your Rolodex look like? And that's the thing with Nick Saban. Like, the amount of contacts, the amount of people that he either directly has close ties to or at least has enough to where he's comfortable in bringing them in. Because Nick Saban, he's not going to do anybody any favors. Okay, that's the one guy that's not going to do anything because he feels like, I owe this guy. No, he's going to make sure that you fit in. You look at some of these different coaches, especially younger coaches, when it comes to the connections that they have, mostly through being on a staff with maybe younger guys. Some of the older coaches, and I think Brett Bielema is probably there where he's coached long enough that you have enough contacts, you have enough connections that you could at least make those calls and bring other people in. But that's not the same case for a lot of coaches, especially younger ones.
By the way, both programs share the same thing from their fan base right now. They're crushing their OC. Bielema partially threw his OC under the bus yesterday. So watch that on Friday.
I thought you were going to say both fan bases are thriving in harvest season.
No, I think we have 24% of the corn has been harvested here. 38% of the beans. I could be off.
Well done. Those are numbers for you right there.
Well, I got my ear to the ground
on the 3rd of October. Already, I feel like we're ahead of schedule.
1620 The Zone, your harvest station.
Yeah, when do we have our ag report?
I mean, I was by the.
We've all done one.
I was by the farmland down by the chai the other day. It looked like it was being harvested.
You mean right behind the arena?
It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. 1620 The Zone's 4-quarter pick'em returns. It's your chance to win $1,620. All you have to do is correctly pick 4 college or NFL games against the spread. Listen to qualify every weekday or enter online at 1620thezone.com. One lucky listener will be selected each week to make their picks live on air.
Awesome.
Go to 1620thezone.com for complete rules and contest details. It's 4-quarter pick'em with 1620 The Zone.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Kugler Vision. Football season has arrived. You'll be going to games and maybe you have seats high up. Well, go to Kugler Vision and make sure that you can see all of the action on the football field. Low monthly payment plans are available, and Kugler Vision gladly accepts your flex plans and medical spending accounts too. Give them a call at 402-558-2211 or schedule online at KuglerVision.com.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Vala's Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard has something fun for all ages. Come take a ride on the antique cars where the kids are the drivers. Visit our foam ball play area called the Egg Scramble. Stop by the cider mill area where you can have a drink of refreshing apple cider and taste some deliciously good barbecue at Ethan's Applewood Smokehouse. Vala's has more than 50 other attractions included with admission, along with fireworks every Friday night at 9. Vala's, the place to visit this fall.
If you love food, love fun, love fall, you'll love Vala's Pumpkin Patch best of all.
Car repair is car repair. Most places you go can change your oil or fix your brakes. The difference is the experience you'll get at Omaha Car Care. We're part of the community. We were born here, and we believe that our relationship with you should be built to last. We're going to consult you, not sell you. We're going to give you a free loaner car. We're going to treat you like a valued friend that we want to continue to see in the years to come. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Nos vamos a divertir mucho.
And that means we're going to have a lot of fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Your exclusive home for Royals baseball in Omaha.
Right up the middle, base hit, and the Royals are a winner.
1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, I'm going to give you a nugget here. Stop rate. So Illinois, last year, they were exceptional defensively, but then Ryan Walters leaves. They promote from within. Stop rate this year. And Nebraska's defense, get right game on Friday night. Got to get right because they're having trouble getting off the field on third down. And I haven't liked how they played the last two games. Even though there's, 45-7 is there a benefit. Lynham plays more. Brett's plays more. Prince Will play more. Only played 11 snaps. If you watched even half of those snaps, I think he's finally okay. So two guys that were here in the spring, and Lenhart and Prince Will. Prince Will is coming. I mean, he's going to play a lot more, I think, on Friday night. Just look at the depth chart. I think is he co-number 2 now?
Yeah.
He might even be co-number 1. They got Borders and Sherman have been. They got portal dudes. You got to make some hay. So Prince Will is going to play a little bit more. But stop rate, Nebraska right now in the country is 72nd in stop rate. 55 drives against them. They've stopped 61.8% of them. So they give up 2.16 points per drive. Now, these are not great numbers. These you can't survive in a college football world on a weekly basis with those numbers. Illinois, though, is 106th.
Yeah.
You got the numbers there?
No, I'm actually looking at I was just confirming about what you said about Prince Will as far as
58 drives, 53.4%. Do they stop a drive? 2.41 points per drive. Here's another stat to keep in mind. This just shows you how porous Nebraska's offense has been through 5 games. They've only been in the red zone 12 times.
I'm surprised it's that many.
Only 12 times. 5 games, 12 times. But Illinois has allowed 23 scores in 26 trips into the red zone in their 5 games. Last year, that defense only allowed 31 red zone trips.
Field goals.
Defense was no joke. And, especially with how good Juzon Newton is. And that to me is something that stands out. Now, the secondary, that was one thing that they also thrived. And remember, they were one of those teams last year. And we know sometimes it's cyclical. It just, you catch it in the right year. They were turning everybody over as well. I mean, the turnover numbers were huge. So everything kind of clicked for that defense a year ago. That's for sure. So, what do you typically see the following year? A little bit of a dose of reality, especially when you're not turning the team over. And that's the one thing that I've noticed with this Illinois defense compared to last year is you're not getting those breaks. You're not getting those bounces as much. And I mean, just putting the numbers though, like what you just laid out right there, that's eye opening as far as where this team is struggling, especially defensively. And you guys, you talked to Juzon Newton during Big Ten Media Days too. I mean, that's a group where I think a lot of people felt, and as we were talking to Brian Barnhart, I think they felt the offensive line would be in much better shape, of course, with some injuries too. But that defense still kind of seemed like the identity of what was going to kind of lead them in, at least while they're trying to figure out their offense, see Altmaier and how you're going to replace some of those pieces from a year ago. That defense was the one that was supposed to kind of anchor this thing, and why people were still kind of looking at them as a team that was going to be in the mix there in the Big Ten West.
All right, Brian Christopherson, Andy Kendi, last hour on a Tuesday, 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have one accident to report at 144th and Giles, so please be cautious if you're in that area. Then eastbound along I-80, be prepared for some significant slowdowns near the ramp from I-80 West. And then westbound along I-80, be prepared for things to start slowing down near 84th Street. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Lanahaw Nurseries.
At Lanahaw, our homegrown trees boast the most vibrant colors of fall, reds, yellows, and oranges. Shop our garden center today for the best selection of plant material and seasonal decor. When you think fall, think Lanahaw, 192nd and Center.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is and has always been locally owned and operated. Now, with 160 employee owners, chances are one of us lives in your neighborhood. We take pride in taking care of you, our customers, and keeping you comfortable all year round. And as always, our technicians don't have sales quotas. When other companies send salespeople, Standard sends qualified technicians. It's just part of
Carrier, turn to the experts.
The fall glass sale is here at 42 degrees, and we're up to our glass in inventory. Yep, our glass products are priced up to 90% off, like straws for only $2.99. How about hand pipes starting at $7.99? Water pipes as low as $19.99. Check out all our glass products at 42degrees.com. Then stop by any store in Omaha and now in Lincoln and get up to 90% off all glass and meet our friendly, knowledgeable, and professional staff. Buy your mom's house. Restrictions apply. Products may contain nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction, presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Chase Senate Contracting, Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair, and Rotella's Italian Bakery. Immediately after the game, join the show and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction with the Keg and 1620 The Zone.
Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard has something fun for all ages. Come take a ride on the antique cars where the kids are the drivers. Visit our foam ball play area called the Egg Scramble. Stop by the cider mill area where you can have a drink of refreshing apple cider and taste some deliciously good barbecue at Ethan's Applewood Smokehouse. Vallis has more than 50 other attractions included with admission, along with fireworks every Friday night at 9. Vallis, the place to visit this fall.
If you love food, love fun, love fall, you'll love Alice Pumpkin Patch best of all.
Let it fly. Your elevated sports bar experience. KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Twenty-4/7. Brian Christopherson kicks off the hour. Good morning, BC.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good. I sense the energy in your voice. Is this the day that the 18-game postseason losing streak comes to an end for your beloved Minnesota Twins?
Why not? Why not?
I
today?
like how
Pablo
you're thinking.
Lopez on the mound. I think we're going to get one. I don't know if we'll get the series. I think it'll be Toronto and the Twins are generally play very close games whenever they meet. So I expect it will be a pretty tense affair. I'm going to pick my guy to win in 3. My guy is win in 3, and we advance.
I like it because Toronto's lackluster offense. I think people overlook Lopez, as you mentioned. You got Gray. Hopefully Royce Lewis stays healthy. Correa shows up. I like the Twins to win this series at Target Field. I'm with you.
This is excuse making. I understand that, but I'm going to do it. If you look at the Twins losing streak that goes back 2 decades in the playoffs, 18 games or whatever, it's almost always been against like the Yankees when they're the powerhouse Yankees, or they got the Astros when they were, kind of rolling. So it's always been those type of matchups where it's like, just give us someone else for a change and let's see what happens. So we got our wish. And if I'm a clubhouse attendant for the Twins, if you didn't know, if we don't show up and we get swept again, then nobody to blame but ourselves.
Okay, so on that note, though, as far as the teams that you are passionate about in Minnesota, were you ready to concede the season there much of the Carolina game? Or are you now reinvigorated and back on the Minnesota Vikings can win the North Division?
No, I'm not on the bandwagon right now. Their schedule's brutal. Maybe if they knock off Kansas City this week, they might make me get back to it. I've gotten to that age, guys, where if I still follow the scores, don't get me wrong, and it still hurts me if the Vikings lose, and I'm excited if they win. I was happy they won Sunday. But I will sometimes drift a little bit away from the television set more than I used to, because I'm like, why am I going to let this thing hurt me for 3 hours? Like, why am I allowing this to be in a bad mood? And if we want to segue, that's the danger I think customer football's run into, honestly, with people, and why it's got to get moving here pretty quickly, because we get a lot of that on our board. It's like, why do I let this thing hurt me so much? And so at some point you got the operation has to fight back and get some wins for the sake of their fans' mental health.
All right, for your sake, I got my Homer hanky. I will wave it today because I like where you're going. I like the Twins in 3 against the Blue Jays. Now let's talk about Nebraska football. So there's a lot to be excited about the defense, and when they go to Champaign and they're 2 deep, and granted, Reimer is out. They only have 3 seniors. So there's a lot to like energy, identity. I like that they are reestablishing the identity of this team is black shirts. But we know you can get zapped with emotion or lack thereof when the offense doesn't give you much hope. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you can, but I think that's what Rule was getting at the other day when he said he had that line where it's like the guys on that side of the ball have to understand this is a defensive football team. Like you have to embrace that. Like this is who you are. You're the more or less you're the strength of this squad. It sort of revolves around you, and we're playing the field position game because of you and because we believe in you. And sort of building up that idea where you take such pride in it. Where you have sort of that confidence and that want to have a series. I know it was against lesser competition. I mean, even confusing if it was Northern Illinois or Louisiana Tech at this point. But when you it was Northern Illinois, when you turn the ball over at the 5-yard line and the defense just comes out there and says, nope, not going in, good. So let's take on this challenge. Like it's got to be that sort of mindset for that group, knowing that you might have to win games 17-14 through October, or it's going to be those types of scores, and you might have to contribute a touchdown or set them up for a score. And so I would think those guys, if they can pump that idea into them the right way, would be pretty fired up about wanting that kind of challenge and trying to look at themselves in that sort of way. I mean, this Friday is huge for them because let's face it, there was sort of I don't think people thought, they were the 85 Bears or anything going into the Michigan game, but there was a thought like, hey, maybe they can stand up to Michigan. I was pretty curious about it. Maybe they can make them have to earn it and make it pretty difficult on them. And it was decidedly not that. And so you got humbled a bit. And now you've got to go back against a team that's more in your weight class, we could say. And you got to show Nebraska is more like that group those first 4 games, than and Michigan's just really good. That's sort of an outlier. That's what they've got to go prove to us now.
Matt Rules, was pretty fired up yesterday, and it kind of to what you're talking about with this defense, but also just maybe collectively the entire team. I'm curious where you think this was maybe directed, where he talked about he was kind of growing tired of the excuse of guys overthinking things, I guess, for lack of a better term. Do you think that was directed in any certain area of the football, or do you think that was just more collectively with the team?
I think it's everybody. I mean, I think it showed on both sides of the ball in that game Saturday. Sort of just hesitancy is the word that's come up, and it's accurate. It was not. It was a defense. I don't think that it was lack of trying. It was just maybe a lack of can I really do this against this caliber of competition? It sort of felt like that to me. And when you play just a half step slower like that, when you're scared to make a mistake, it's you're just not going to have any success. You can't play the game that way. And so I think it applies to the defense as well. But even on the offense, he's talked about at the QB spot, it's like don't think ahead of the snap. Be in every moment you're out there, and just execute what's directly in front of you. Be present in what's happening at that very moment, and not always looking ahead. And then he, Rule's now in the middle of the fight that we've been watching for 5 or 6 years, and that sort of came out in the press conference. Because the score is 14-0, 7 minutes in, be the type of team where that ticks you off something serious, and you push back and you don't just accept. He had a great quote oh no, oh heck no, I'm not losing 45-7 in front of my mom. That sort of, you got to have that sort of mindset within your team. Or I think in Colorado, he was right too. They got that game to 13-7. But there was sort of an inevitability as they were going into the second half that they probably couldn't or wouldn't come back in that game. And at some point, somehow, they've got to get guys to believe, and this would be the best week possible to start this, that when you're in those situations, no, you can make a play and you can work your way back in this game, but you've just got to do it one play at a time, and you can't try to do too much. or be scared that you're not going to do your job right, and then that causes you to not do your job right. So I do think there's a lot of mental challenges that this program has had to overcome the last few years, and I think Rule's staff walked right into the middle of it, and they're trying to work through it with those guys.
Yeah.
And we'll see how they can do over the next 2 months.
Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7 joining us. Why do you think there's hesitancy to lean all the way in on Harburg?
I don't know. I guess I think that I don't know this for sure. I think they think there's more that we haven't seen out of Jeff Sims. Like, I think there is really a belief that he could, knock down those turnover numbers and some of the snap issues, especially that plagued them at Colorado, could go away if he got back out there. And maybe because they watched it for 8 months prior to the season, there was some stuff where he just looked better than the rest of the guys, throwing the ball and some of that stuff throughout. And it's kind of hard to get that out of your mind sometimes. That said, I think he was genuine when he said, and I thought this too about Harburg on Saturday, if there was a bright spot for me in that game, it was actually Heinrich, and the fact that I thought the passing game for him and where he's at right now in his career, it took a step. Like he looked confident in moments against a really good defense. Like he ended up, I think, 14 of 25. But I remember looking down at the stat sheet late third quarter, and he was 12 of 17. And it felt like, when he went back to pass, something could happen that was positive. And I've had cases of watching Nebraska quarterbacks where I haven't thought that at all at times. Like, it's just like, this is just either going to be an interception or, something bad is going to happen. And on Saturday, I didn't necessarily feel that when he was throwing the ball. So I thought there was progress in that area. Obviously, we know he's a gifted runner. But I don't know. I think the coaching staff probably views those guys as fairly even right now, and probably thinks, maybe the public got the worst possible data of Jeff Sims they possibly could get. And so when he comes back, he's an option that they at least want to consider. So it seems like he's close to turn the corner. We'll see if that is this week where he gets any action, or if they want to go one more week through the bye and then have that be a deal. But I would say this, if Harburg does get the start and plays well and they win at Illinois, I don't know how you turn course from that, right? That this would be a big time win for Nebraska for where they're at. And so whoever leads the team Friday, and if they get it done, that could be what would tilt this thing where we're not having this conversation as much.
Yeah, Brian, and I'm with you. I want to believe that too. I don't know how much of a conversation this needs to be anymore. But Matt Rule continued to say 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks is what that injury typically has. And he kind of alluded to that it's kind of on that schedule right now. If we were to see Jeff Sims start another football game, in your opinion, would it be Northwestern out of the bye week?
Yeah. I mean, that would be my best bet, and that would be under the scenario that Harburg would start Friday. They don't look that good. They lose, and so you're 2-4. Yeah, that would be my answer to it. So I think if Harburg gets a start and things go really well, for those who are Team Harburg and thinks that's the direction it should go anyway at this point, I think this would be the game to go, like, kind of put a stamp on that. I think the knock, if there's doubt, I wouldn't call it a knock. It's that, okay, yeah, there were a couple wins, but there's people who say, maybe if Jeff Sims is healthy in those games, he plays okay, and it's basically the same result as Harburg had, and so really, are the outcomes changed at all from what we've seen? And then the other side of the fence, of course, as well, yeah, but all I've seen of Jeff Sims is like 7 turnovers, and Harburg's only given away 2. And so Harburg continues to be poised as he has been in the turnover category. And, oh, by the way, they're playing a team that struggles with this just as much as they do. They're both -6 and basically near the, circling the drain and turnover margin. If he plays a poised game Friday and all that, again, this is just a big opportunity for this team, but also for individual stories within this team to just sort of settle where they're going to go for the last half of the season. So anybody who's like, I don't care about this game Friday, I get it, you're wounded and all that stuff. This has been the biggest game I've thought on Nebraska's schedule since like January when I was looking at, it's like they've got to have this sort of game on the road that tips this thing if they're going to get to the postseason. And they blew one against Minnesota. I don't think it was coincidence that Rule brought up Minnesota the other day. This is a similar type of game, but he's basically saying the way they played could have won that game. It can win this game, but they've got to go grab one and sort of turn the mood around here and give them a shot in October to make a little run, which they could if they won Friday.
All right, I want to ask you to give a oddly specific prediction for Friday, but I would like a prediction. If there is a part of the operation that is going to have a get-right game on Friday night, what unit, what player, what part of the game will that be?
It's going to be, I'm not going to say a specific position group, but it's going to be like the pass rush operation. It's going to be getting home and getting a few sacks. Illinois struggled with it. They've had some problems protecting. Altmaier can run, though, so there's going to be that challenge. But I think if Nebraska is going to win this thing, this needs to be the type of game where they meet at the quarterback a few times. Maybe it's 3 sacks or something like that, and maybe somebody knocks the ball loose. There's got to be that play, though, maybe attached to it where you take it away. A guy I would really dial in on, because I think he's been close. He had missed a couple tackles Saturday, but Javen Wright is starting to feel like I'm a big part of this. I can be a playmaker. And when Rule talks about great players having to be great, and basically he's meaning the top part of his team who can make plays and change games, they've got to start doing it. I think of someone like Javen Wright now. Like he's a guy who's been close to that sort of stuff. And somebody like him's got to tip a pass or knock a ball out of a QB's hands on a rush and just make this thing go the other direction. So, but I'd say pass rush to your question is it gets a few sacks.
Brian, the third person to touch the football, assuming Heinrich Harburg and Anthony Grant get the touches early on, who is the third person in the running back room that gets the football? I guess Fleeks. Yeah, I mean he is listed second on the depth chart without even an or. I don't know how much to make of that, but they liked Emmett too. Emmett actually graded out okay in that game, and he got the ball late when the game was all settled, but so was Fleek's run, and he looked like he was okay out there, and so he's going to get some action too. But Fleeks, I say him because you're talking about a guy who's as old as me about. Somebody was on our website was complaining because on our profile of him, it had him as 170 pounds. He's 205 now. And I was like, well, yeah, that's from his recruiting profile in 1998. Give us some slack, So I think Fleeks will get some opportunities. But I think they'll try to get Fleeks involved with some catches too. He caught a pass late in that game as well. So I don't think it's all just going to be run oriented for him. He's a guy you want to try to use different ways. But Fleeks is my answer. But Emmett Johnson's going to get some carries. And Anthony Grant, though, let's not get away from him. He's got to protect it, but he's just got to be a dude. I mean, he was a non-factor Saturday. It wouldn't have mattered if Walter Payton was back there, I don't think, Saturday. But they've got to have him be someone who makes a play that's sort of out of the ordinary or does something special with the ball in his hands in this game.
Hey, real quick here, speaking of Anthony Grant, do you think it was intended? He wasn't going anywhere on Saturday. They didn't want to put him in harm's way. He didn't play much after maybe the midway through the third quarter. Do you think that was intentional?
I would say maybe a bit and I don't think that's just out of pocket to say because Rules said you'll get back, or he said yesterday. Like I talked to Anthony, he said you'll get your chance again and all that stuff. But I think the fumble stuff has bothered him, and he had another one of those, and it's just like can't have this. We're gonna at least see what some of these other guys can do. The game's sort of out of hand at this point. Let's give them some touches and that experience. So I do think he'll be back in the fold this week because I think he has to be. I mean, they really don't have any other options. And Anthony, for whatever the good or the bad is with his game, you've got to hope the good just outshines it on weeks like this and roll with it.
Yep. I'm with you. I think this is a get-right game for Anthony Grant. BC, thank you. Safe travels to Champaign.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yep. Bizarro World, July 31st, Joshua Fleeks was sent home because he's fat.
Yeah. Now he's your big playmaker in the backfield. Listed as as not an or, as your number 2 running back.
No longer fat.
With Emmett Johnson behind him.
Moved to running back because you lose your top 2 running backs, and he can't get on the field at his position that he's played his entire college career.
That he was brought here for.
Wow. What a patchwork collection this offense has become, unfortunately.
Well, and you would understand that could be the case if you were so loaded in the wide receiving room. Like early on, like when you had Xavier Betts, hell, I'll even throw in Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda. When you had other options, okay, maybe that's the case then. Joshua Fleeks is maybe there to kind of, help out a younger group. And, since he's been through it, knows Gary McGuire, knows Matt Rule. But you look at, now would be a great opportunity for him to play wide receiver.
But why do you think he didn't get on the field? That's the thing.
Well, again, what is he bringing to? Is he reliable as a wide receiver? Because that would be the thing that I would. You're not in a position where you could be overly choosy, but we do know how much that this coaching staff looks into the weekly preparation and their overall understanding and how effective they can be at a game. And it leads me to believe that as a wide receiver right now, he's not in that category, but he's got speed, and they're taking anyone right now when it comes to that.
Need bodies in the backfield. All right, a little bit later, Andy Kendi will join us on we get towards the end of this Tuesday edition. Plus a couple more thoughts. The other 2 series going on, Milwaukee, Arizona, Tampa Bay, Texas, that all begin today on Wild Card Tuesday in Major League Baseball, where the higher seed gets to host all 3 games, which is a little bit of a change. Homer Hankies are out. Target Field will be rocking today. Hopefully it's loud. Hopefully they win. Please win. Please win. Please win the series. Please win one game.
I'm rooting for this.
Grab that voodoo doll that has been around Minnesota sports teams.
And I want to add Brian to that list too. Just a lot of good people I know that are Twins fans that I'm thinking of them today. If it can't be my team, then I'm hoping for your team.
Oh,
they're good people. Good people. And I want to see good things happen to good people.
They are a very good organization.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that firsthand.
There you go.
AK is coming up in a bit on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Caller 4 right now, 402-951-1620. Qualifies for 1620 The Zone's 4-quarter pick'em. It's your chance to pick 4 football games correctly against the spread to win $1,620. Call 402-951-1620. Call now to qualify with 1620 The Zone. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Would you cheer against your team if it meant the team they were playing could make history?
No.
Hell no.
If I have the chance to witness something amazing happen, then I'd rather that happen, even if it's at the expense of my team.
Even in the championship
that
game?
is a terrible take.
Yeah.
I like my team and I like rooting for my team, but I'd rather experience the history just to say that I saw that, like I was there.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Your Tuesday morning forecast will include partly cloudy to mostly cloudy conditions, remaining mild throughout the morning and early afternoon. Spotty showers possible as we progress throughout the late afternoon and early evening. Afternoon highs topping in the upper 70s and lower 80s. More chances of strong to severe storms west of the metro for later on this evening into the overnight. I'm meteorologist Anthony Copeland for KETV News Watch 7.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Email any of our shows anytime into the Equitable Bank inbox. At Equitable, we take banking personally. For me, John at 1620thezone.com. The Equitable Bank inbox from 1620 The Zone.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Here's today's Husker Max Practice Report, brought to you by Tickets for Less on 1180 and 1620 The Zone.
Husker football head coach Matt Rule gave some injury updates ahead of Friday's game against Illinois.
Right in the swing. Adjusted to get ready for a Friday night game. Just a couple injury updates. Deshaun Singleton hurt his knee. He'll be out for a period of time. I expect to have him back at some point. I don't know when that'll be, so Deshaun will be out this Friday. Luke Reimer out of the hospital, back and forth a little bit, so Luke won't play this Friday.
Rule said his team was not up to standard against Michigan.
Michigan's an excellent football team, but we could have played better than that. And when I say we, because that's not me throwing the players under the bus. That's all of us. And I don't think there's a guy in that locker room that doesn't feel that way. That wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough at all.
For The Zone, I'm Matt McMaster.
The Husker Max Practice Report, brought to you by Tickets for Less on 1180 and 1620 The Zone.
Attention all you Husker football fans. This season, get ready to cheer on your Huskers like never before. Tickets for Less is offering an exclusive deal that'll have you jumping out of your seat. Use the promo code THEZONE and save big on Husker tickets for every game, home and away. From the electrifying home opener to intense conference matchups, Tickets for Less has you covered. Don't miss a single moment of the gridiron action. Visit ticketsforless.com today. Use promo code THEZONE and secure your seat to witness the Huskers live on the field this season. Hurry, this offer won't last forever.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Nos vamos a divertir mucho.
And that means we're going to have a lot of fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Gosman hasn't been good at target field in his career. Have you watched Royce Lewis play?
Royce Lewis, yes, I have. I think that's something that, as far as the Twins are concerned, there's a lot of reasons that I'm actually into the Twins. Not just because I'm rooting for them for being good people.
For example?
Because I think that they are a much better built team. They've been hot this last month, too. It's not like I dog on the Central because I do think it's a crap division.
Somebody had to win it. They did.
But it's not like the Twins have been playing like awful baseball. They're kind of limping in. Like I thought whoever won the Central's like, good luck. You're going to get, because I was telling my buddy, okay, congratulations, because he likes to rub it in a lot about Cleveland. I said, congratulations, you're going to get swept. I was saying that like a month ago.
It's me.
I feel like the Twins actually do have at least where they're playing right now, entering in the playoffs right now. I feel like the Twins are in a much better spot than I would have given them credit. And I don't think the Blue Jays have any offense. So give the Twins the home field advantage, given the way that they're playing right now. Yeah, it's doable. It's just you got history working against you.
Gray has pitched really well. I like him in 3. I like the Phillies
Yeah,
in
get
2.
it over to Sonny Gray, sure.
I like the chaotic nature of the Diamondbacks, but unfortunately, because it took them forever to clinch, Gallen isn't pitching. They're pitching a rookie today. Woodruff is out. That's significant for Milwaukee, but they still have Burns, Peralta, and then bring in Devin Williams on the back end. So I like Milwaukee. I think that goes 3. And then I like Tampa Bay in 3, strictly on home field advantage. Win today because Texas, who, 162 didn't work out for them. They have to fly across the country to play at Tampa.
I think for that reason, Raising 2.
Arizona, by the way. That'll be my sleeper.
Your dark horse.
Well, because
I always wonder who's that one team.
I took them early in the
go
season
off
to give them the over on that on their win total as well. And so I'm gonna roll with Arizona.
All set up for Miami to be that team.
There might not be there's a couple, but Arizona in particular that took advantage of the new rules in baseball. They're chaotic, man. They run the bases.
Mm-hmm.
They're a fun team to watch. Also, Milwaukee has the lowest caught stealing rate with their catchers. So Arizona loves to run the bases, but I don't like Gallen not pitching in game 1.
The Marlins Phillies one, I'm also I'm trying not to give too much of the Josh Hodson. Don't let the Phillies get hot. I don't know.
It's a good point though.
Hey, they've been playing like they've been playing like a 100 win team for 4 months.
I know.
They're scary. They're the Royals 15 vibes.
Yeah, and can they? There's always that team in that first round, whether we're talking about the wild card, and again that Royals team, you've got enough the juice in the lineup, and you've got at least pitching that can get you through, especially a series like a 3-game series. But if the Phillies, given a little bit of the experience with that, I feel like as the stage gets a little bit bigger, they're a little bit more dangerous because, and I understand where Braves fans are like, hey, don't let the Phillies get hot. Don't let the Phillies get hot. But there's always that team that kind of comes in. Like we're talking about the Twins, for example, playing good baseball, especially when you're playing out of the Central Division here in the last month, compared to, the Phillies and playing in that division. I understand the Mets are no good, but there's just something about the Phillies being able to kind of put on that type of run there in the last month that I think there's a little bit more substance to what the Phillies are doing. So, yeah, I have no problem going with the Phillies in that one. Diamondbacks, I'm going to go with the Twins, and then I like Tampa Bay. In fact, I got Tampa Bay playing in the World Series.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tampa taking on Hodson's Braves.
Andy Kendi, big Brewer fan, Cub fan, among other things. He'll join us next.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
The cigar enthusiasts at Hearth Cigars and Pipes are a pretty diverse bunch of humans. Some enjoy an adult beverage or two, others pass the time with a competitive yet friendly game of dominoes. Still others enjoy shooting some pool downstairs, while more than a few are just satisfied with each other's company. The common thread with all of them is the awesomeness that is their favorite cigar from the humidor. Hearth Cigars and Pipes, just off the 48th Street exit from I-680 at the corner of Mormon Bridge Road in McKinley, and at hearthcigars.com.
Our Cox mobile plans are like a band. The more people you add, the better it sounds. So, add more lines to save more. Pay as low as $30 per line when you add 4 or more gig unlimited lines. It's easy. I like the sound of that. Visit cox.com/mobile. 4 lines required for $30 per line. Price max of 5 lines. Prices exclude taxes, device activation, and other fees and charges, which are subject to change. Cox postpaid internet required. Other restrictions apply.
Family functional, spacious, and sporty, the 2023 Chevy Equinox at Woodhouse Chevy brings the total package with safety features to help you on your way. Adaptive cruise control helps keep your distance on the road ahead. Plus, the Equinox features collision warning and side mirror alerts, along with lane departure warning. Find new roads to Woodhouse Chevy and test drive the Equinox for yourself. The 2023 Chevy Equinox at Woodhouse Chevy, exit 75 off I-29 Missouri Valley, or 112th and Dodge in Omaha. Always online at woodhouse.com.
Fear has a name.
Ice cream, you scream,
For 30 years, Scary Acres has been doing what they do best. Scaring the hell out of you.
Monsters Castle, House on the Hill, and the Haunted Woods. Scary Acres, the ultimate haunted attractions. 107 and Giles, sponsored in part by Raising Cane, Stereo West, and Ivy.
We created a simple PDF that gives you everything you need to know about branding, designing, and building a website that increases revenue. Download the website playbook for free at jmonline.com. If you're considering a website project but not sure who to hire, go to jmonline.com and download the free website playbook. It's a guide to a high-performing website. That's jmonline.com.
This new Wendy's Frosty flavor is way too exciting to keep under wraps. It's a brand new, first-of-its-kind flavor. Get this, pumpkin spice. I know, right? It's so good. It's rich, it's cozy. It's the perfect flavor for some fall Frosty time. Watch, everyone will see it and jump on the bandwagon. Grab a never-before-seen pumpkin spice Frosty or pumpkin spice Frosty cream cold brew today when you choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Limited time only. Participating U.S. Wendy's. Vanilla Frosty is temporarily unavailable.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Nos vamos a divertir mucho.
And that means we're going to have a lot of fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at babbel.com. Just go to babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The
It's the sports director at a TV station that carries Monday Night Football and now Major League Baseball playoffs. It's none other than Andy Kendi from ABC affiliate KETV in Omaha, Nebraska. How about that?
Gary, we're just part of the baseball network. Remember that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we've got games Monday, Tuesday, perhaps even, or Tuesday, Wednesday, perhaps even Thursday. So how about that? I was actually secretly hoping for a rain out in one of the games because if we get a game 3 on Friday, that would definitely cut into my workload on Friday from Champaign. But, I'm guessing that all these series will be done on Thursday.
So you were there yesterday at the press conference. The tone was interesting. Matt Rule seemed a little fired up, but it almost kind of seemed like it was a welcome message. Would you agree?
Oh, no question. I think for fans who wanted to see more fight out of the players on Saturday, they certainly got some fight out of the coach yesterday. I think he hits the right note, the right tone. I think he gets it, and I think he understands what's going on. He understands while he says he's in a bubble and locked down in the facility, he's surprisingly aware of what the temperature is outside the building. So I thought yesterday was. I got out of there yesterday and I texted Tyler White, my photographer, who's my travel companion, as we go to all these road games. And I just texted him. I said, "They're going to win Friday. They're going to win Friday. If that message is received, they're going to win Friday."
Are they going to win Friday because of him? Because this is his game that he has put it out there. You'll find out the true identity on Friday. Is this the Matt Rule game where maybe in past years, Michigan beats you twice, but Matt Rule is pretty cognizant of a blueprint to beat a team and goes game by game. That Matt Rule is the reason why Nebraska wins on Friday.
Well, obviously the players have a lot to do with it, but I think the players' preparation into that game has a lot to do with it. And I think after yesterday, the tone has been set. And I do think that all comes back to the head coach. I do think him putting himself out there at the end of the news conference, which was a pretty benign question, by the way, because I was the guy that asked it, and I didn't know he was going to turn the corner on that question. That where he went, that he said we're going to find out a lot about the team and a lot about him as a head coach. You know, it was the question was, how do you avoid, you know, Michigan beating you twice? Though I didn't say it. You know, it's funny when you get in those press conference situations, you have one question in mind, and then your mouth starts talking, and sometimes it doesn't come out as cleanly as you want. And that was one of those cases Saturday. But I tell you what, he put it. I don't recall in recent years, and maybe somebody can refresh my memory, but a coach going out and saying, "Hey, this we're going to find out a lot about me personally and about me and this team Friday." And that's one that I left that. I was like, "Wow, you don't hear that often," and that it makes your eyebrows raise, and you say, "Okay, we got to use that. That's got to be included in tonight's piece," and that kind of tells you a story. But no, I get back into your question, Gary. I think it does. I think Friday is a Matt Rule game. And, you know, it's interesting, too, because Illinois is kind of the same spot. I mean, Illinois, talk about a struggling team that had higher expectations than Nebraska certainly did. And they are really fortunate to be 2-3. And they're at a crossroads, too. So Friday is a really intriguing game that I don't know how much attention it will get outside the state of Nebraska and maybe a small pocket of Illinois. But, man, it's a really intriguing game.
Is Friday a Heinrich Haarberg game as well?
I don't know. You know, you heard the head coach, Jeff Sims, he was awesome Sunday. He was awesome.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's got to be Jeff Sims is going to get another chance, fellas, don't you think? He'll get another chance. I think I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if Friday is that chance. Now, I'm not saying he's going to start, but, you know, there's got the offense has to produce points, and obviously they have not. And granted, you know, you can say what you want about Michigan, but they weren't piling up points even prior to that. So I'll be interested because, you know, Matt Rules will do anything you can possibly can with him to win games. And I think Jeff Sims falls into that category. I wouldn't say this is Heinrich Haarberg's team at this point. I think that he's positioned himself certainly to get the reps and to get the start Friday, but I'm not sure that we won't see Jeff Sims. That's just a hunch. I have no inside information. That's just a hunch. At some point, we're going to see Sims again, in my opinion.
Hey,
we'll see.
Let's be fair here. There's a lot of young guys that are playing on defense, and guys to be excited about the growth that they've had, and then looking down the road. Is there anybody on offense that gets you excited right now?
Whew. Great. Fedoni.
Yeah,
I do like the Fedoni and
that'd be the
Harvard
top of the
connection.
list, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, and the connection. It seems like he was like almost discovered when Harvard came in to play quarterback, and I don't know how much. You know, I don't know if Jeff Sims just didn't see him or what, but man, once Harvard came in, even towards the end of that Colorado game, you're like, oh, okay, now I see that there's he's getting some attention. So I think Fedoni's probably the main one, but yeah, that's a great question. Now he has been talking, Matt Rule talked at length yesterday about his receivers, and the other question is, like he said, Malachi Coleman was in the protocol, but he wasn't listed on the injury report, like stuff like that. It's like, what are these injury or the availability reports, I should say. That's such a nebulous new thing. It's like, okay, well, what are the rules here? But, and then we find out 2 days later, this guy wasn't even going to play because he had he's going through concussion protocol. But, I think the receivers, you could say that they're going to, by the end of the year, they're going to make you open your eyes. I mean, I'm really interested. Everybody talks about Jaden Doss, right? And he's been hurt, but he's now available. So let's see what Jaden Doss can do. And if we're reaching for guys who are hurt at this point of the season, about young guys to get excited about that, that's probably a concern.
Well, and speaking of young guys too, and I know Matt Rule wants to continue to roll with Tristan Alvano, but do we get to a point here, even on Friday, that if, say that first attempt, if he does get one, is unsuccessful, that you got to start thinking about it? Hey, I get it. We want this kid to come along, and we don't want to lose him. But at some point, for an offense that's limited when it comes to points, you've got to get him wherever you can, that you might make that change, at least temporarily.
Well, I commend Matt Rule for going out and sticking by his guy, but I agree. At some point, it's about results, and if you're not getting results, you'd be silly to keep doing the same thing. So, yeah, there's a big week for him, and Tristan's the type of kid. I know him. I wouldn't say I know him very well, but I know him on a limited basis. But from what I know of him, God, he's such a focused kid, serious kid, and I get the sense he's putting a lot of pressure on himself. But like most guys who care do, he wants to succeed. It's not like the kid wants to be missing kicks. So, and you can see the guy has a rocket for a leg. He's a kid I'm pulling for, and I think he's going to straighten himself out. He has just got too much talent not to.
How big of a gap is 2 and 4 compared to 3 and 3?
Large, really large, especially because what you got in front of you, and not just the bye week that you get the sit on result on Friday for an extra day and a week. You know what I mean? You can really set yourself up, because I think if you said at the beginning of the year 3 and 3 at the bye week, now you'd rather be 4 and 2, obviously, or even 5 and 1. But I think most fans would have been realistic enough to say 3 and 3 would be okay because of the manageable schedule in front of you. I mean, my goodness, you guys. I mean, Northwestern and Purdue back-to-back home games, and then Michigan State on the road. I mean, come on now. I'm sure they're looking at Nebraska going, hey, Nebraska. Like, honestly, they're probably saying, Northwestern's probably saying, well, Northwestern's gone into Lincoln and won before. Purdue's probably saying the same thing. And so that's why, while Saturday was a cold splash of water in the face, you're not going to see Michigan again in the rest of the year. I mean, not even close. Maryland's the closest team that comes, and they're not even. They're not even the same ballpark as Michigan. So this is a chance to really make a run here. I mean, shoot, you could, but you got to win at Illinois first. You know what I mean? Like, if you stumble at Illinois, boy, it's going to be a long bye week, and then you're talking about, okay, what kind of crowd shows up? How is the crowd going to react on Saturday, October the 21st, when Northwestern comes to town? But yeah, that's why Friday is so important, because I think we'd all agree this is a game, no matter what the odds say, no matter what the location, Nebraska should play and win Friday in Champaign.
And real quickly, and I know this is something that in 2 weeks we can also get into. I'm always curious on how a coaching staff and how it's perceived on how they will attack a bye week. Sometimes it's just, recruiting. But when you look at the first half of this season, and based on what we've heard from Matt Rule and the way that even position coaches have talked, coordinators have talked, are you at least encouraged that they will make the most of it? Because remember, we've seen teams come out of the other end of that bye week where they just don't even look prepared, let alone ready to kind of take on the remainder of that schedule. Is there at least a sense of belief that this coaching staff, dare I even say, is kind of looking forward to having a little bit of that extra time?
Well, I think so. I think so. And in that extra time, I think there'll be an extra jump in the step, a little pep in the step. If they can come out with a win Friday. That's why I say Friday's so important. But I agree. I think it's going to be a nice little step back mentally and physically. So I do think they'll get after it a few times. They'll practice, as he said yesterday, which I thought was interesting. I think they'll go after it a couple times during the bye week, but be smart about it. And I think, if they are going to go with this option deal, you can't get enough repetitions on option offense. Even though we didn't see a ton of it on Saturday, I think that's a wrinkle that they'd be silly not to go forward if, in fact, Harburg is. Even Jeff Sims can run it too. So It goes back to that notion that Matt Rule's going to say, we need to do the things that will give us the best chance to win. And I don't care. And he doesn't care what it is, right? I mean, Marcus Satterfield's coming in as an offensive coordinator, and people are just, I know some fans are grilling, are like just skewering him. But just think about him. He comes as the OC, and then he said, okay, you know what, Marcus, I think we're going to run the option. He's probably like, what? Like, what? What are we talking about? What? So I mean, I think we all just need to just take it for what it is and see what happens Friday. And I'll tell you what, this next month is going to tell the tale. We'll see what kind of future and what kind of November will be based on what happens these next 4 weeks or 5 weeks.
Absolutely. Have fun filling those 6 shows from Champaign.
Thanks, brother. We'll see you.
That's Andy Kendi from KTV. All right, we'll have much more tomorrow. Don't forget the game is on Friday. Ask yourself, if you had a kid that was playing football on Friday night, what are you doing? Going to your kid's game or are you going to a Husker party?
Spread your phone.
So we're your first pregame show Friday, 6 a.m.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
true. Yeah.
That's true. All right, crossover with Connor Happers coming up next. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 6.